If you've ever spent several days in a row talking about and preparing for a hurricane or multiple hurricanes, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, folks. We are back for another episode of live trading. Get in the chat, get involved, see why it's the best community out there. We are also praying for our Florida kin. We're about to get hit by that hurricane. We got some stuff to do. We got some money to make. Glad to have everyone back. Let's roll.
Welcome to Benzinga Live Trading.
Let's see if this actually kind of comes back.
Way out of control, got way too high.
All right. Hey, I will take that. I will absolutely take that.
All right, folks. Happy Schlump Day. Happy Wednesday. Hope you all had a great evening. Zippity doodah if you're out there. Yeah, I fell asleep, man. That Hawks game starting at 9:30. I didn't even make it out of the second period. So it is what it is. Does suck that they lost. I was one shot attempt away from cashing my parlay, my first parlay on hockey this year. So couldn't quite do it, but we'll have another opportunity to go here. All right. Now, a couple of things. First of all, 13 will be joining us later today. And I did talk to Tim Melvin today. So he says that so far so good. So we should be having Tim Melvin on as well. So put your hands together for him when he gets here. In the meantime, let's go ahead and start with the SPY. Here is your SPY daily chart. And would you look at that? Traded right up to that trend line. Got this here at about 574. We're still under it, but I expect a test here today. We'll see what we end up getting in terms of some of the price action and if we're able to break above and then also close above this trend line. That's going to be one thing that we're really going to look for. High price here is going to be 474.71. So if we snap that, we'll be on a breakout, but we will wait and see what we can get there. If we do turn around, we can maybe start a move back down to the 50. Buy the dippers have not let that happen so far. Let's go ahead and to actually, you know what? Beach Bum Trading, I have the same question here as MD. Did you evacuate? How are you? Is everything okay down there? And all of that. Let me know. Okay, let's go ahead, though, and take a look at some of the movers. We'll roll through some of those here today and get you all prepared for that. And then we can go ahead and take a look at some of the other stocks that are moving around here. So first one, I know that you folks are excited about this. Banzai is back. Banzai is back. So ticker BNZI. This is Banzai International. Banzai International shares trading higher after the company announced strategic business initiatives to improve net income. So feels a little generic there, but the actual news itself has some more specifics that we'll go ahead and mention. Banzai announces strategic initiatives to improve net income by up to $13.5 million annually through $9.9 million reduction in operational expenses and $3.6 million reduction in other expenses. So this is definitely good news here, especially for the cash position and all of that. Mark, this damn stock. It's back, bro. We got another day here with Banzai. The other thing we should take a look at here, this is probably a good idea. They don't have a whole lot of cash on their balance sheet, and you can see they burn cash every quarter. So being able to reduce some of those expenses should be extremely helpful. As you can see, the market reacting to this nicely, had a nice little impulse move, moved us above the 3 handle and actually above the 6 handle. Wow, huge move on that. We're currently up 108%. We came back, we lost the VWAP, and we've recaptured it. So I want this to try and settle out a little bit if it can. Give us a setup for it. But BNZI, we're familiar with this one. We've traded this one. We've made a whole bunch of money off this one before. So it's back, and we should have another opportunity. Robert, hello. Good to see you this morning, man. Hope you're doing okay. Beach Bum, we may or may not lose power, and if so, we may be offline for a while. Yeah, totally understand. Like I said, my coworker was, I think, without power for 6 days in Carolina and is still without internet. which is the really crappy thing for him. He's going bad. Or he's going crazy without internet. So, all right. Hopefully everyone down there stays safe. Let us know if there's anything we can do to help. But yeah, good to hear that you seem to be in good spirits. That's really good. Back to some of the movers here. Banzai, this is definitely going to be one of them. And here's another one. And this one's probably going to be wild all day. Should actually be able to get opportunities on both sides of this trade. Weight Watchers, ticker WW. WW International shares are trading higher after the company on Tuesday announced the addition of compound semaglutide into its offering here. So we had a pretty decent day yesterday, and Weight Watchers popped again in the after hours, popping again here in the pre-market. You see the volume really kind of flowing into this. This should be pretty good. I heard Dennis mentioning at the end of pre-market prep here, he made a really good point about the volume, which is something we try to mention all of the time here. Stock has already traded almost 32 million shares. The market's not even open. And on average, the stock trades just a hair over 3 million shares. So this thing likely to be just a monster trader all day here today. Should have no trouble getting in and out of this, however you want to trade it. So Weight Watchers, or WW International, whatever you want to call it, that's what's going on here. Definitely on deck for another opportunity here today. The next stock on this list is going to be ALTM, and not going to be much here for new trades, but I am going to take a victory lap here real quick for Benzinga Pro and what we try to do here. ALTM, you might have remembered from yesterday. We talked about this. We talked about this maybe on Monday as well. Yeah, they had a nice little gap there on Monday. This today, the news here today, Arcadium lithium shares are trading higher after the company announced it will be acquired by Rio Tinto. Now, if that sounds familiar to you, that's awesome, because as recently as Monday, we actually had a report from Sunday evening that Rio Tinto made an approach to take over this company. We talked about this on Monday. We outlined the news catalyst that was driving the stock on Monday. There was more action yesterday. And today, now we actually get news of that deal. So this is really from the start of the news drop to the completion of the deal, just really shows how much it pays to be on top of some of these. If we go back to, let's go back to Monday here. Let's go to a 15-minute chart here real quick. If you didn't even buy in the pre-market, if you bought at some point on Monday, you're up another $1.50 from where we're at. And on a percentage basis, let's take a look at that. On a percentage basis, that's almost 40% on this acquisition. So really good stuff here. Really great get by our news desk team. It actually did give us opportunities to day trade it, but this one, because of the merger and acquisition setup, also gave an opportunity to maybe hold overnight and then sell into this here today. So really, really good stuff with ALTM here today. If you no new trades, but if you still have it, today is your day to sell. Congrats on your win. All right, let's keep moving through here. Nuburu is going to be next. This is Nuburu. This is going to be one of those Chinese names that's popped up here. I actually don't think we had any new. No, news here was from yesterday, so nothing fresh here today. Looks like this is just kind of a continuation move from previous. So here we go. Buru, ticker BURU. This might also be on here. I'd mind your technicals. One of the things that you can see here is in the pre-market, we're actually struggling to get over that VWAP. We want to see that. We want to build, and we want to maybe push away from that VWAP as well. LASE, LASE, laser photonics. So this had a huge day yesterday. Probably the best trader of the day yesterday, really just moved, and it looks like we're taking the next leg up here today. So we actually just now took out the pre-market high. It'll be pretty interesting to see if we can continue to go from this area or if we pull back in. I'm going to watch this one, especially on some of those earlier prints, but we'll see where this ends up and if this gives us a trading opportunity. It's given us a couple recently, so hopefully we get another one here today. Next is going to be CLSD. This is Clearside Biomedical. Shares are trading higher after the company announced its Odyssey Phase 2B trial of one of its drugs for neovascular age-related macular degeneration, achieved both its primary and secondary outcome. So here's going to be another biotech. This actually did pop almost as high as 260. It's come back in. We actually lost the VWAP. Looks like we're trying to make a full round trip here. We'll see if this holds at this 160 level and gives us an opportunity, but this is what's going on with CLSD. CLSD. Float here, 70 million. So it's a little bit higher than some of these lower ones that really kind of give us those big moves. Kind of keep that in mind. On average, the stock trades 300,000 shares a day, and today it's already trading 10 million. A really nice analyst coverage for such a small stock, so that's generally encouraging. And a cap here of just 110 million. Stock has barely any revenue, but still not a lot of cap. So it'll be interesting to see how this one trades here. Quick peek at the short interest. Didn't see anything in there. And then a quick peek at the financials here. You can see they burn cash every quarter, and they still have maybe 3 to 4 quarters worth of cash runway. So maybe we don't see an offering right away. But that's pretty much what's going on here with CLSD. We'll see if we get another opportunity here to trade this one. You were saying, Jeff, Nuburu is not a China stock, so that's not moving on that. Let me see. What was that here? Nuburu is a leading innovator in high power, high business blue laser technology focused on breaking through improvements in multiple markets. Oh, you're right. So this has 3D printing and EV connections here. I'm sorry, man. I must have confused this with Futu, right? Futu, which is the Chinese financial services. Really good catch here. Oops, I highlighted the wrong comment. Sorry about that. Jeff, really good catch here. Sorry about that mistake. Appreciate you staying on top of that. Again, always trying to be 2% better every day. Really good call there. Thank you, Fairchild, as well. So, okay, we'll see if we end up getting it. By the way, here, Buru, this actually fits a little bit more into the float that we've been trading here, 4.11 million, and it's already twice over the average volume. Okay, really awesome. Hutu is shoes. No, Shaka, are you just joking around and just effing around? Are you just one step online services, mainland China? No. Okay. Look, I'm sorry I got confused, but let's not try and make it worse. How about that? All right, Yang on the, speaking of Chinese stocks, Yang is the ETF that is on the movers tool today. I feel like we've either seen Yang or Yin every day on the gappers list, depending on what the Chinese stocks are doing. Obviously, this is the bear levered one. This one is up here today. So we'll see if we get any more of a bearish move on some of those Chinese names. Also worth mentioning, Duo is on this list, but it's not like a huge gapper. We've just recently seen that run, so figured I'd mention that. Okay, really good stuff here from the group. What stocks do you folks want to take a look at here today? Did he go over WW? Yes, Lauren, that was number 2 on the list here. That's semaglutide in their offering. It's already traded 30 plus million shares. Things going to be wild all day. Should have opportunities on both sides of that. Pretty easy one there from WW. Vuzi is getting mentioned in the chat. We'll go ahead and take a look at that. Vuzi up, 5%, almost 5.5% here in the pre-market. Vuzi shareholder letter highlights key developments that position the company for significant market success. Here is that PR. Did not read through this, but this is just giving you some highlights from the shareholder letter. If you follow that, I'd be curious to know what you think of this, but this is just kind of like a, hey, this is what we've done type thing, not really one of those great catalysts to drive it. So we definitely want to wait this one out and see how it goes. See how this one goes. Okay. Let's see. What else do you folks want to take a look at? MNTS, which is one of the ones that you guys were mentioning. That was the smoked tuna one. This is a penny stock here. Actually getting some action here earlier. Nice little impulse move. Nice little back move. We'll see if we end up taking out that 65 cents. Wiss, nice call on MNTS. Wiss, you're already doing it here in the pre-market. That is fantastic. We're not even waiting for the regular session to open, just out here getting it done. You love to see that. One more thing here that one of my friends actually mentioned. This is not going to be a smaller stock, but it's definitely something I'm going to watch here today. We've been talking about this Nike short recently. Saw some news this morning from a Barron's article that Nike has really kind of stepped up its buyback. This is the existing buyback that it had, not a new buyback, but it does seem like they're repurchasing some more shares. I think there's still like 8 billion left in the buyback as well. So going to be watching some of this price action. If Nike has kind of a bullish day today, we might cover up that short and wait for another opportunity on this since we already have this in the green. I generally don't expose myself to unlimited risk anyway, but this setup was pretty juicy when we were talking about it. So figured we might as well take some of it. We'll cover this up for whatever gain we have if Nike shows some bullish moving off the open here. I definitely want to watch the price action first. I don't necessarily want to react with like a knee-jerk reaction. And the good thing here is that because we're already in a gain, or because I already have a gain here, the stock's already moved in this direction, I can be a little bit more patient with it. Aerolabs also getting mentioned here. Aerolabs, feel like it's been a while since we've taken a look at this. Aerolabs shares are trading higher after the company announced a new portfolio of fabric switches purpose-built for AI infrastructure at cloud scale. That's got a ton of buzzwords that's likely to move the stock. No surprise to see this plus 14%. Also, Morgan Stanley maintained an overweight rating on the stock and raised its price target from 55 to 74. So a really nice bump on the price target here, but they maintain their rating. So it's not actually a rating change. Instead, it's just a price target adjustment, but it is a substantial one. It is a substantial one. So that's what's going on here with Aerolabs. If we take a look at the daily chart here, one of the things that we really want to see, we did take out this high. So now we're kind of battling with this area. You can see all of these areas that this gave on the way down, likely to be resistance on the way back up. Okay. Let's see. What other stocks do you folks want to take a look at? Legalize onion futures. I'm going to leave that one alone. THNX, is that a stock? No, you were just saying thanks. Of course, Lauren. How silly of me. Jay Harris says, give us a play. Well, okay. First of all, just to remind you guys, should be you guys coming up with your plays here for these stocks, but I can tell you exactly what I'm going to be looking at, especially right now. This is great. The fact that we came back into this kind of consolidation area here from the pre-market is great. I would love to see us recapture the VWAP. But again, I want to watch the first move out of the open because they might actually just kind of hit this. This stock closed yesterday at $1.19. Here we are at $1.67. I wouldn't even really be shocked if there was some profit taking out of the open. And we'll see if we come into any of these levels. Smoke Tuna has really been excellent at calling some of these support levels when the stocks come on their way back in. So maybe 148 to 150 could be one of them. 160 here. But really what I'd like to do is I'd like to have this show some support, like it's not going to break down, and then actually take out another level to the upside to kind of confirm that it's going to have that upside strength. And where it's at right now, it might do that here with the VWAP. So you can give us a play. Do you believe that WW is going to pop? So I generally don't have like specific beliefs like that, right? I kind of just watch and react to what I see. I will say I do expect Weight Watchers to be active all day. So I don't think there's just going to be like one decent opportunity in the morning here and then nothing the rest of the day. I suspect, especially given the semaglutide catalyst here, that this is likely going to be in play all day. And I also wouldn't be surprised if we do pop, that the stock actually kind of gets hit and comes in. So I'm going to stick to long side trading, especially on some of these smaller names, but I do think it might be possible to play both sides of this. Just saying. Might get support at 155. There you go. Tuna giving you a level right here already. 155. That's going to be the top end of this consolidation area there. So, okay. Good stuff. Let's see. Let me go back up here. We did Aerolabs. DJT. Okay, so DJT had a really good day yesterday. It will be interesting to see if that continues here today. Looks like we actually sold off a little bit here, right back down to where we were, where we kind of reversed yesterday intraday. Volume here, not as impressive as days past. Let's look at another time frame here. Not as impressive yet in the pre-market, but that seems to be par for the course. So we'll see if the volume picks up. To me, DJT volume is going to end up telling the story here. If there's a trend to be had here. The volume's going to be going crazy. If the volume really dries up, I'm just going to look somewhere else. There's probably going to be other plays that are going to have exceptional volume here today, which should be easier for us to trade, namely BNZI and WW. So let's watch the opening print, see what DJT does. But given the last couple of days, yeah, this might be a decent one to have on your watch list. Okay. Let's see, what else did I miss here? Well, you guys brought a ton of stocks here. Webcoin wants to take a look at SONN. Let's do that. Let me know if you guys can hear that pounding. Workers on the roof fixing the roof here today. Here is SONN. Get your chart here. Do have a catalyst here today. Sonet biotherapeutic shares are trading higher after the company announced that it has entered into a licensing agreement with Alkin Laboratories for research, development, manufacturing, marketing, and commercialization of its molecule SON080 for the treatment of diabetic peripheral neuropathy. And it is a mouthful. Stock did pop here out of the open. Volume dried up immediately, and we retraced a percentage of that move, a substantial percentage of that move, I beg your pardon. So my thought here is give us that volume pop, right? Let's have volume flow back into this. Would be awesome if we could take the VWAP out. And now we actually have some levels going above this here. Definitely one here at 550. Maybe another one here at 590, just shy of 6. The round numbers almost always come into play, it seems, on some of these. And then that 641 high there could also be another level. All right, folks, put your hands together for Mr. 13. 13, how are you doing here today, my man?
I'm doing just fine. What do we have on the list?
Oh, yeah. Guess what, man? Banzai is back. BNZI is back. They have about reducing costs and kind of restructuring a little bit there. The market is loving that, as you can imagine, plus 100% or more already. WW, Weight Watchers International, that is back. Semaglutide being added to their offering. This thing has extreme volume here in the pre-market, over 30 million shares, yet we haven't even opened yet.
That was only a matter of time. And I think that was something that was brought up at the start of the whole semaglutide discussion that we were talking about in Happy Hour. So that about time, I guess I should say, with Weight Watchers.
Indeed. So, and then check this out. Big dubs here for Benzinga Pro. ALTM, stock that we were trading on Monday.
All right.
Turns out they were acquired. So I'm not sure if anyone held this or swung this from when we were first talking about Rio Tinto possibly buying this out on Monday. We had that news report from Sunday fresh in our news feed on Monday. Stock is bought out here today. So no new trades here today, but if anyone held this, they're being rewarded here plus 30% in the pre-market on that news of an acquisition. So pretty cool stuff there. And I was saying earlier, this is why it's important to stay on top of some of this news. News can be really great. Benzinga Pro brought it to you early.
All right. So what are we going through here with in chat? Any tickers we've covered already?
Yeah, I've covered a whole bunch here. As you can see, the chat's really ready for the market to open here. Smoke Tuna mentioning Lassie, which we talked about, and also Curve. And of course, that was crazy yesterday. That made Anthony say, I'll take anything with nice curves, which is understandable, especially when you're talking about beautiful automobiles and all of that. But anyway, I did cover a lot of the stocks here. Serve, Weight Watchers, let's see. DJT we covered. San we covered. MNTS, which is a penny stock, we covered. A-Lab we covered. I believe that's the semiconductor. I've already put my foot in my mouth and made a mistake here. I called Buru a Chinese stock. I confused it with Futu, which is the Chinese stock. Buru is headquartered out of Colorado, per our chat here. So I've already made one mistake. We're going to try to get better. And then, here's the other thing I wanted to mention to you. Check it out. Your stock is back, bro. Hollow is back. Penny stock, or actually now it's a reverse split. It was penny stock. Now it is a reverse split. It is going here. You know, one of the things that you were saying recently is that a lot of these on these reverse splits, it's like several days after that this actually happens. But it looks like we're getting it here pretty early. So Hollow on deck here. We'll see if this goes. I'd love to know if you trade this one. Oh, and one more thing, 13, and I'll let you take over here. I spoke with Tim, who's in Florida, and Tim says he's good to join us here today, at least so far. So we should also have Tim Melvin on today.
Excellent. I'm glad that he's going to be all right. I'm worried for everybody that's out in Florida right now.
Me too. Me too.
hopefully everybody's making the smart decisions, not standing in the path. And if they can't move, I hope you've got contingency plans.
So we are definitely looking out for our Florida brethren here. Okay, let's see if there's, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, Hustle and Bustle is asking if GNRC is going to go higher. I think
I love it handle, by the way. I love that. Hustle and Bustle. That is awesome.
I do think it could, but it's going to need to cool off a bit first, because yesterday the RSI was in the 70s. It was pretty extended. So I think it could continue to go higher, but following a some pullback. So at this particular moment, I think it's not really great to be long in it now. If you're, I mean, unless you're already in it, then you're fine. But if you're considering a new position, I think I'd wait a little bit just for this RSI to come down first. But I think Milton's definitely going to help lift this back up again. So just give it some time. In my personal opinion, I don't think it's a good idea to grab it right now while the RSI is so high.
And then the other thing that kind of fits into this same theme that you're talking about are going to be these other charts that we've kind of taken a look at. HD, and this really kind of has the exact same setup as you were just talking about, 13. High RSI here. You can see we were actually drawing a Fibonacci retracement to really kind of give us some ideas on how this is, or on some possible entry points here. You can see this thing is continuing to go higher here. 421.40. Is this a new all-time high? Ooh, no, look at that. Right up to that all-time high. This is from 2022. Let's go back to a weekly and make sure we're not totally screwed. Look at this. All-time high, double top here today on HD. We'll see what we end up getting. The story is similar also in ticker LOW, which is lows, although this is the all-time high. But the chart here looks the same. If we zoom in here, sorry about that, looks the same. So these should also be in play here today.
All right. We have got about a minute and a handful of seconds left. Anything else we should be taking a look at here?
Yes, thinking about it, says Ryan, I thought you said GLP-1 compounding was blocked by regulators. So we actually got news about that the other day, but didn't seem to affect the news here on Weight Watchers. I wonder what the specific in there is. Nonetheless, I don't think that's going to affect the trade here today.
It looks like BNZI is actually starting to get going just moments ahead of the opening bell. This just got a
VWAP. Don't say.
It just got a VWAP test. And I know that people are taking a look at, I see Shaka, the VCIG. I also mentioned in Happy Hour chat, it's got some news. So we might see some movement out of VCIG as well. But here we are with just moments away from the opening bell. Got about 20 seconds left. And BNZI is pushing away from its VWAP right now. I have 704 as the next upside target. So let's see what happens up there.
All right. Yeah. Sorry about that.
Mark Kaufman, you're right. We talked about this after the bell yesterday. Lumber, building materials. I think Lynn and Randy had put in some names in there for some of those. I don't know. Here we go. We're open now. So here goes BNZI. Sorry to ramble on there, but we do have some tickers we can bring in as well.
All right. Ramble on, by the way, excellent Led Zeppelin song. So no apologies needed.
All right, so there's BNZI opened and fell beneath the VWAP. Let's see if it can recapture it.
I actually, interesting. I have the VWAP here at 568.
Okay, so that's a little bit, okay. Yeah, that's, mine moved up out of the open.
Okay.
That's about where mine was at pre-market. MACD is starting to look like it's curling over, so this might experience some downside before it goes up. Just something to think about with BNZI.
Clove. Sorry, real quick. CLOV Clove. This also popping out of the gate here. One thing to watch here. Looks like maybe if it takes out yesterday's intraday high, that got that at, yesterday's after hours high, 397 here. Clove probably on a run to 4 here. CLOV.
And then look what happens at 4. See all that, all those orders there at 4? Just a big old.
No, sorry, I wasn't looking at the level 2. My bad. Just looking at the chart here. 412 on the upside there, and then also maybe let's call this 426 to 430 as that potential double top from the recent sessions here. All right. Lassie dive. Here's BNZI that is rolling. Weight Watchers. Let's see what this does. I should I even call it this, or is it WW International? It's just force of habit to say Weight Watchers.
Weight Watchers, Wonder Woman, whatever you want to do.
Wonder Woman. LOL.
LASE came down to that demand zone and also to the 65 EMA on the 5-minute. Not sure we're going to fully get a recapture of VWAP here. The MACD isn't looking that great, but we could turn around and push up higher. So just something to watch for here with LASE, looking for a VWAP recapture here after it fell beneath it.
CLSD from our list here this morning. This is kind of hanging out here. It's beneath its VWAP. Now, it's not breaking down, so maybe if this starts to pop, volume actually looks fairly decent. If this expands, this could pop here. LASE trying to recapture its VWAP.
Larry Hall mentioning CVNA. Also looks like Weight Watchers trying to go higher here. It's MACD is looking like it's trying to end this downside here, and we're looking for that curl. So maybe not quite yet, but it is getting support from that 65 EMA. Just looking for it to get above some of these other EMAs as well and hold VWAP.
BNZI so far the winner here out of the morning. Alab also looking like this might try to push as well on Alab. Jay Rice, are you trading Alab at all? I would wonder. IKT, I'm not familiar with this. This actually going here too.
WW looking weaker. This probably might end up going down as low as 151. There's a huge amount of orders down there. We're starting to slow down with the selling, but if we get down there, I think we could reverse. So let's see what happens with Weight Watchers. Just wait this one out a little bit.
Let me credit this. Danielle, I'm mentioning NCLH, which is of course Norwegian Cruise Line. That is popping here out of the open. Is CCL doing the same thing? I feel like that one's moved recently. Also, CCL is indeed popping out of the gate here. So the boats. How about RCL? Is the other one? All the boats higher here. Was there news on this stuff this morning? Norwegian Cruise Line gain after City points to upside. Okay, so that looks like there was a City note on this. Oceania Cruise unveils. So,
all right. So
okay, cool.
Weight Watchers down at that 151 level. It is just chewing through this. Looks like it's probably going to end up heading lower. Maybe 135 could be the next spot where it gets support. That's Weight Watchers. This has just been going down straight out of the gate. BNZI is this? No, it's not halted, but we did get a pop up close to the $7 level, and it came back in 689, the current intraday high.
PDYN going here. Paladine AI, interesting AI name here. I'd wait this out here. I'd wait for this to pull back a little bit. MNTS, the penny stock, you guys are calling for $1 here. This up at 72 cents. Hollow is halted to the downside. Look out, Jolo.
I'm not touching this thing
blasted. Yet. Yeah, blasted.
I know reverse splits are exciting. I'm excited for when this thing gets going too, but just give it a little bit of time.
So LAZR here on the scanner. LAZR penny stock 83 cents down here at the lows. This one's interesting though because they've got some type of connection for Tesla for its automated or for its self-driving. And we have an event for that tomorrow. We have a robo-taxi event tomorrow. So part of me is wondering if we're going to hear anything or if there's anything that we can infer about this company tomorrow. That's ticker LAZR, Luminar Technologies. Affirm AFR, I'm getting mentioned by Lauren in the chat. This actually had an upgrade this morning. Big thing here is that they see more people using Affirm because it's now available in Apple Pay or the Apple Wallet.
Ooh,
that's what's going on with Affirm.
Still feel like that's a disaster waiting to happen with these.
Me too, man. I can't bring myself to get bullish on this. I just can't. And if I'm wrong, I'll be wrong and I'll look for something else.
If you're wrong and I'm wrong, then we're both wrong and we're not making any money off it, but we're also not losing any money.
Yeah, but that's the key there, 13, is that we might not be making anything off of it, but we're not going to allow it to slap us around.
Yeah. All right. So after we got some selling in Wonder Woman, she is taken into her invisible jet and flying away, so far at least.
Well done with all of that. Jay Rice, I appreciate this. Ryan, regarding Alab, Got a couple of calls on it. The November 55 calls that were bought last week, I believe we did talk about that, or at least mention it briefly. Over 10,000 around 350. Looks like you followed that trade in there. Nice job. Trim that up. I agree. I don't really see new entry on that one, but if you were in it from that, awesome. HELE, this is Helen of Troy. Helen of Troy shares are trading higher after the company reported better than expected Q2 financial results. Conference call currently in progress. Looked like this was going to try and take the next leg up here, although that got sold back down.
Careful, that could be a Trojan horse.
Ha! That is
Clove,
incredible.
Clove going all the way up to 4.
Yeah, that's what we were calling for.
Yeah, it's there now, just kind of parked for the time being. If it gets through 4, the next spot's going to be 410. That's where the next large amount of orders are.
Volume looking good here on Clove. Banzai, did that pull back? Yep. Rolled all the way back, broke the VWAP. Let's see if we reclaim that VWAP. WW also might be trying to reclaim that VWAP. We'll see if we can get that done.
It went above it briefly, and then it came right back in. Still looking weak.
Carmen, regarding a firm here, I definitely want to hear about this from retailers. Agree 100% on a firm. Wow, Carmen, that is 100% agreement. Let's go. As a small retailer, I really don't see the benefit of adding another entity in the profit stream between me and the shopper. Would agree with that too. Tony, yes, ALTM volume over 100 million is likely correct because this is a merger and acquisition. So I would imagine there's more people than normal trying to close that position. I would.
Before.
I have 200 million shares traded on ALTM. Yes, that does not appear to be a typo.
All right, let's see what's going on here. We're getting a question about BURU. Buru.
Oh, Buru, the one I screwed up this morning. How about that?
I think this is going to $1, and it might get support there. That's kind of my thought on this one. Clove pulling back. That's what I can tell from the chart I'm looking at right now. Let me look at another one. Maybe I can find something else for you. But for the time being, it looks like you're going to go down. Yeah, I'd say it's going to probably go down to $1 and get support about there. And if it doesn't, then time to find something else, I'd say.
So this Paladine AI, I'm not familiar with it. Focused on autonomy for robotic systems, its artificial intelligence and machine learning software seeks to revolutionize the capability of robots, enabling them to observe, learn, reason, and act in a manner akin to human intelligence. Well, gosh, hopefully it doesn't wipe us all out. AI and ML software platforms empower robots to perceive variations of change in the real-world environment, enabling them to autonomously maneuver and manipulate objects accurately in response.
That's the most Skynet thing I've ever heard.
I was going to say, you better give this thing a 6-foot extension cord so it can't chase me.
Wow.
IKT getting more volume. We'll take a look at that. Smoke tuna. I think this one's going to blast off here. Definitely looks like it's got some resistance there at that 165 area. And you're right here. Volume sticks look pretty good.
Thinking about it, saying PDYN just inked a contract with RCAP for drones.
Strap some missiles to those drones and we'll be in business.
Buru finding a turnaround spot at 103, got up to 108, 109 now. Not sure if this is turning around or if this is just bull trapping people.
Okay.
All right.
PDYN slowing down at the top here.
Okay, so Weight Watchers tried to get back above VWAP, failed. Looks like the next spot down here is going to be about 135.
Yeah, and LASE currently is trying to get back above the VWAP. We'll see if it's able to reclaim that. Excuse me.
And then
P is just saying, ugh, terrible. I don't even know what that is referencing, but I'm sorry that it's terrible, man. I'm in for the full meal here on Weight Watchers. Man, I see what you did there.
Yeah, I don't think I'd want to touch Brewer either.
Clove came back into the VWAP. Or is that the, let me make sure that's not one of the EMAs. Yeah, came back into the VWAP. We'll see if it reclaims it and tries and push higher here on Clove. Lassie's still beneath that VWAP. We might reclaim that one as well. Hood had a huge run yesterday. Looks like a little bit of a pullback here today. Actually might find support right down here, 24.5 on Hood. Tiger was another one that ran yesterday. It actually sold off initially and then traded up during the day. We're actually at new low. Oh, not quite. Okay, so we're actually at a support level here on Tiger. Sorry about that. That's the second stock that I've screwed up here today. Pan W on fire. Must be that Keanu Reeves spokesperson. I tell you what, that was awesome. This continuing to move here, and I do think we're actually going to have a test here at 375 on Pan W.
4 Mag 7s are red. I'm sorry, green, but they look like they're all about to be red pretty soon. They're very, very close to turning to all being red. Tesla mostly in the red today.
Now, Tesla, that's interesting, right? Because we have the event tomorrow. What time is that event tomorrow?
I do not know.
Yeah, I don't know off the top of my head either. Tesla will likely unveil more humanoid capabilities at Robotaxi Day.
Okay, so they're going to have, what, 2 or 3 people in costume then? So here's Wonder Woman coming down to the 200 EMA. This would be the next spot I'd be looking for a bounce on this one if we're going to get that. BNZI, after it still has not recovered after that initial move out of the gate, but it is putting some some wicks on the bottom that are looking like there's the buyers are trying to come in and lift this thing back up over BWAP. So maybe this goes as low as 5 and then turns around, but it's looking like it's trying to find a bottom right now. Give BNZI a little bit more time, I think.
Hollow, another halt there. Good mention, Market Sniper. MNTS. This is the penny stock that we talked about. Great action here so far. We got that expanding volume that we're looking for, this pushing to the highs. You folks are mentioning Rivian. What's going on with Rivian here? Up 2%. Okay, let's take a look at the daily chart. Remember, after that VW news that was supposed to change everything, we round tripped that entire thing on Rivian. I tried to warn you folks on that. This actually is at a support level here, though. Did we have anything fresh here on Rivian today? Yes. Looks like we did. Worksport nears the completion of the... okay. So Worksport, I guess, is developing something for the Rivian truck. Rivian up 2.5% on that. How is Worksport doing? That's a penny stock up 6% on that.
So, Lion Atlas, you think Lithium America is going to get taken over? I mean, I won't say that's not possible. It's entirely possible.
This is the Canadian-based one, right? LAC.
I'm not sure. To see that it's got
Backer Pass, I believe that is. Let me check here real quick. Backer Pass, lithium mine, Humboldt County, Nevada. Never mind.
I'm
there was one of these. There was one of these that was Canadian or had some type of Canadian tax structure reporting. I can't place it though.
Thinking about it, if they're going to have both, I'd love to see one of their robo taxis turn into Optimus.
Can you imagine a Tesla car turning into a transformer on that thing tomorrow? That would be all we would see in the news cycle. Is that if that happened? LASE, by the way, literally Dikembe Mutombo slapped down from the VWAP. But BNZI looking for some support. We'll see if it ends up finding it there. Oops, clicked on the wrong thing. PDYN came back in. We'll see if it reclaims VWAP. Volume actually not terrible, not totally breaking down there. Weight Watchers is trying. I don't buy it yet. IKT, we're still waiting for that 165 pop. Sorry, 13.
Yeah, I think with Weight Watchers, if it's going to get some more activity to the upside here, it's probably going to come up to VWAP. I don't know that it gets through it, though.
Okay. Watching QQQ to lose 487.83. I would love that. Actually bought some SQQ calls yesterday for next week. That's mainly just a hedge on some of the macro stuff that's going on.
Mint's pulling, SMXT setup, HIMS dip, and stair climb. Weight Watchers is too late to the party. Well, it looks like the party already happened in pre-market.
CLSK puts getting bought here today. 9 puts.
Seems like
IKT knifing. IKT knifing.
Oh no. Looks
but
like
it actually didn't break down. It stopped right here at 148. Big sell volume bar, but I wonder if that just moved the sellers out there.
So it looks like Ant Baru is turning around a little bit, but
Ant Baru.
I still think that we're close to VWAP too, but it looks like it's going to come back and turn around and still make a test for $1. Still not liking Baru. What else do we got going on here?
Goldman Sachs ripping off the open here. Someone was talking about banks, I think yesterday. Goldman Sachs outperforming here today. Let's check in on JPM as well. JPM up fractionally, but Goldman Sachs ripping out of the gate here.
Weren't they talking this morning, or they had some kind of conference about the state of the global economy in Middle East? They had some. I want to say that was some kind of conference they had recently. Can't imagine what that was.
Was there someone from Goldman Sachs on CNBC this morning? I actually had to run out real quick this morning, so I'm not sure either. I apologize for that.
Borgiato going to be pissed. All right. Too late to get into GLP-1 light pay membership, and you can just get the same counterfeit drugs from HIMSS.
Alex has got it figured out. I'll say that.
Yep. Can someone tell me what the VIX price is? I'm having a glitch. Let me see what that
was VIXX he's asking about. Your VIX right now 2114.
Oh, look at LAZR. This thing turning around, trying to move.
Now remember, LAZR. This is the one that's connected to Tesla.
They're going to put freaking laser beams on Tesla's heads.
All I ask for is freaking sharks with freaking laser beams attached to their heads. That was it. EMPH calls going off. That's interesting. Those are pretty big.
All right. SPY breaks 574.12, pretty short runs at 576. Let me take a look at SPY. What's that doing? Because the all-time high that we have, so you're talking about, if it breaks that, it's going to a new all-time high, is what you're saying. And that all-time high is 574.71.
This is actually pretty sweet. Smoke tuna, BNZI, wait for a new low, and maybe it will support on BNZI. So you're basically saying don't buy this curl right here. You think this one gets flushed.
Okay. What does under 4 sound better, or what's kind of your target?
I mean, 5 kind of jumps off the page here. The other thing that we've got, let's see, that's the 200 EMA. I've got down there at 442.
Shaka VCIG. This was an Andy play. Just trying to get this one as cheap as possible, and think this. I'm looking for 40 cents in the stock price, and then I'll be done. If I don't get that, I'll just take profits wherever I think is a good idea. So with BNZI, it's looking like it's trying to push up here. The VWAP is at 606. I would suspect that if we are going to get flushed here, that we try to tap that VWAP and then it goes down. LASC still trying to make its way back to VWAP. Looks like CLOV, Clover, that look like it's setting up for the next push up. As long as it holds VWAP, I think this could break over 403.
Tuna giving you 530 or 5 as your support there on BNZI.
Okay.
That 5-1 really kind of jumps off the page to me. We did curl back towards the VWAP there on BNZI, so we'll see. Maybe this gets rejected there. I'm not in it, FYI.
Getting a mention from Jay Wild about Hollow. That went down to 450 and turned around. Now it's testing the 575 level. I have that marked off here. Next one up above that is 725. I don't think I have the correct float reading in here anymore. I think it's supposed to be like about 1 million. Is it supposed to be about 4 million shares in the float after that reverse split?
On Hollow, yeah, that might not be updated.
Yeah.
Let me see though, because we actually have.
Yeah, J. Rice, you were saying that yesterday, and it was a great call.
Yep.
All right, Weight Watchers going lower. Couldn't touch VWAP. Still back down to the 200 EMA on the 5-minute. Don't know if that's going to hold. Baru pushing back up through VWAP. This one looking a little bit stronger, but this is about the area where I would expect it to get slapped back down. So let's see if it can break through that between. Sorry, go ahead.
No, it was all right. Go ahead, finish up. I thought you were done.
Between 118 and 124.
BNZI was rejected so far at that VWAP that we talked about.
Okay.
Apple at the highs here today.
It's
500 in a little bit.
546 million float. Okay. Not sure how they worked the math out on that one. It's like about 80 million shares in the float, and they did a 20 for 1. But whatever, it's smaller now. That's all we need to know. Looks like Yang week, so China names must be doing pretty well this morning.
Yeah, they are. No, the Yang's the bear, isn't it? Oh,
yeah.
You said it was weak. Excuse me.
Yeah, so that's come down to its 200 EMA on the 5-minute, looking like it's getting some support. And we'll see what happens here.
Bitcoin price rolling over a little bit. Let me take a look at the SQQQ, see how tech is doing with Apple at the highs. SQQQ not moving down anymore. See if this can actually move up.
Almost all the Mag 7 are red now. Just 2 left. 2 left in the green.
SKK. This had its 4th halt already here today. This one to the downside. So this was a huge move up. That might be done.
Daniel Fournier is mentioning PLL. This is when we brought up along with the lithium plays. This one has a nice rebound. So it's been moving pretty well since the beginning of the month. Yesterday was a little bit of a pullback day, but it's back above the 200-day SMA. This is looking pretty good here. But keep in mind the RSI is over 70, so there might be a little bit more upside in this. But I think I'd be selling into the next move up, just because it's so extended.
Awesome. And it is 5 minutes to 10 here. So you know what that means. We're bringing on the OG. Put your hands together for Tim Melvin. Tim, gotta say, massively impressed with your toughness. I hope that you are okay with the pending hurricane here. Thanks for joining us.
No problem. We're about, I'm going to say between 2 and 3 hours away from, excuse the expression, but shit getting squirrely down here.
Actually, I heard another one of my Florida friends describe it as, quote, there's a shitstorm a brewing, end quote. So no problem there. We're just hoping for the best.
Yep. I mean, you'll notice it's darker in here. We put all the shutters down on Monday, and we've got a steel cage around Lanai out back. We're above the storm surge level, worst case. It's coming in. It looks like an hour to an hour and a half north of us, which means we're going to get a whole lot of wind, a whole lot of noise. It won't be quite as bad as Ian, and it'll be worse than the last couple. So this is not my first rodeo. We've done this, so we're ready.
Yeah, no, I can tell. Just by the way you're talking about it, the calmness in your voice, I can tell. Of course, be safe. We do send our best. So, okay. Just before all of that squirreliness happens, what do you got for us today?
Well, let's talk insider buying. It's insider buying is one of those interesting things. It's like value investing and trend following, right? Everybody knows it works. They all read And by the way, I'm convinced that 98% of insider research is done by people who read the inside flap of a book that has insider buying as a chapter in the book, and they just never took it any further. Because, but everybody knows about it. You understand that it does work, that insiders buy stock because they want to make, multiples of the stock, not just percentages, but nobody follows it or uses it in their investing or in their trading, right? We all tend to get caught up in the story, in the short-term action, but there's real information in what corporate insiders are doing, especially, ladies and gentlemen, the CEO and the CFO.
Okay, so that's interesting. Right away, you put more weight in CEO and CFO purchases than maybe other C-suite executives or directors?
Absolutely. First off,
great.
The CEO sees everything. Okay, everything. They're his plans. It's his vision. He has to sign off of it. He sees the operating reports from each and every division in the company. He knows all the plans. He knows everything. But now, so when he makes a buy, right, he's got expressing a great deal of confidence in the future. Keep in mind also that C-suite executives already own stock for the most part. They are heavily compensated with stock incentives and grants based on future performance, and most of them have stock options. All right. They already have a vested interest in the stock going up. They're making a massive statement when they flip the checkbook out and say, I want more. Now, the CEO sees everything, but you know what? He's not actually the best investor. That would be the CFO. I mean, the CFO sees everything. He's in the room for every discussion, but better than anyone, he understands the bottom line impact of everything that is going on, right? He knows what the bottom line impact of an FDA approval will be, or a deal, or a merger, or a new product launch, or a recovery in the business. So the CFO has actually done a little bit better over time than the CEO, but paying attention to both of them is just smart.
Okay.
So let me just pull one other quick thing up here before we go any further. Our first stock up is one that I've known for a long, long time. Make sure I've got the... Yep. Okay. And this is Prospect Capital, and it's a business development company, and they take a lot of higher risk loans than other BDCs, and they've been like overly concentrated in several industries just during the period of time. And I remember this thing from the IPO. And it was such a small deal at the time of the IPO that the little tiny regional firm that I did business with actually got shares for our clients. So it was not a big deal when it came out back in, oh my goodness, 2000, 2001 as an initial public offering. But every time this thing gets weak, John Barry, the CEO, who has 71 million shares, will step out into the marketplace and he will buy more shares. So will the chief operating officer. Earlier in the summer, the CFO bought shares. So the whole C-suite's here. They're buying all the time. This thing bounces all over the place on headlines. So they do a lot of LBO lending. They do take more risk than the average BDC. If I was talking to a group that was primarily interested in an alternative income portfolio, this would not be in the discussion, because they do tend to take risk that makes it resemble more of an equity type investment than an income investment. They just happen to pay a fat dividend because they are a business development company. Barry is not a stupid guy. He is constantly buying the stock. He has a significant portion of his net worth, as do the other C-suite executives, in the stock. If they really screw this up and send it all the way to zero, they go broke. So, yep, it's riskier, it's more volatile, but if you make volatility your friend and you do what John Barry and the other guys in the C-suite have done and buy more when this thing pulls back sharply over time, and he's looking way down the road, and he's not looking to make 10 to 15%. Right? He's looking at this thing saying, I know that this business is probably in the long run worth somewhere closer to that $9-10 it was a few years ago. That as banks continue to step back from the higher risk lending, as we start to see M&A activity pick up in 2025 and 2026, this is going to be a great business. And oh, by the way, while I'm waiting, I'm going to get this fat dividend, and they pay dividends monthly, by the way. So you're going to be collecting all of this cash. You can reinvest it into new shares, do whatever you want, but with a high degree of confidence because you're sitting on the same side of the table as the insiders who collectively own about 27% of this $2.2 billion company. You're on the same side of the table. They got way more at risk than you do. They're overseeing the day-to-day aspect of the business. So it is for really aggressive, really patient investors. But following the insiders in this one can really make you just an enormous amount of money, provided you're smart about using volatility and you take that longer term time frame, because there's going to be bad headlines. There may be a dividend cut and a dividend hike and dividends swinging all over the place. But over time, the insiders are highly confident that they're going to make an enormous amount of money. And I think you can be too, actually, in this one.
So far this year, this dividend has actually remained pretty stable. It's actually crept up a little bit. The monthly dividend is pretty awesome there. And then taking a look here at the chart, this thing really, to me, the next step for the actual equity itself is what can this thing finally get above its 200-day and make some noise? Really kind of struggled to do that since April of 2022. Maybe we have bottomed here though. Pretty awesome. And as far as those insiders that you were mentioning, boy, look at this. There is an absolute ton of that. Looks like that CEO, Mr. Barry, has been buying since May of this year.
Well, he's been buying almost since the
for just this year. For just this year, he's been pretty steadily buying this since May.
Every time it gets weak, he's out there and he's buying. The CFO has bought. The chief operating officer is buying. So anytime you see the CEO and the CFO buying, like I said, and we would be talking more about CFO buying, but there hasn't been a lot recently across the board of the market, which does make a statement. But and before we go on to the next one,
sure,
let's talk about what the statement that insider buying is making. Because right now, as we go into this earnings season, the insider buy ratio is skewed badly. There's very little buying. Selling is, a multiple. It's always more than buying. There's always more selling than buying because insiders can sell for thousands of reasons, right? Mm-hmm. Paying for weddings, sending a kid to college, dream wedding for their daughter, a dream divorce for themselves, whatever the reason that they are, raising some capital, or they're a founder. Jeff Bezos sold all the way up. So did Bill Gates, because they had all of their net worth in the company and they would occasionally take some out. So insider selling signals, there's always going to be more selling than buying. But right now it's just at a wave, because with the market having moved up, trading at 27, 28 times earnings, insiders tend to be value hunters, right? They're at heart value investors.
Sure.
There's not a lot of value in the market. So we're not seeing a lot of CFO buying. We are seeing a little tiny bit, and I really focused on dividend paying stocks this week. So the next one up is another CEO buy, and this company's in one of my favorite businesses, right? And they are it's Vitesse Energy. The symbol's VTS.
Oh, I think we've talked about this one a number of times in this show, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, over an 8% dividend yield. These are non-operating ownership interests in oil wells. They've got about 7,000 proven wells. They got a bunch of them up and drilling. They have an extensive, very deep bench of undrilled locations, mostly in the Bakken oil field in North Dakota, where if you were to bang a stick into the ground, you're probably going to hit some oil. So if you own land there, odds are you're sitting on oil. They've done a great job over the years of making the acquisitions that they need to produce new production to offset fading production. So they have a long-lived supply, but non-operating. They're not running the day-to-day. They're not laying out massive capex. They are subject to occasional capital calls, but on average, they own about 2.5% of all of the wells that they're involved in. Production is primarily oil, so you get the inflation and the geopolitical bounce and sell off with this one. But the CEO has been a buyer of this thing. It's an over 8% dividend. I'm massively bullish, as we've talked about, on oil and natural gas for the long term. Both have a big role to play in providing the energy needs for the electrification of everything, for AI, for everything that's about to happen in the global energy markets. So, and supply demand, when you look globally at oil, is still, there's really not enough supply to meet global demand long term. So we're super bullish on oil and gas. These guys just sit there, they collect monthly checks. They, from the oil wells, they gather them all up and send them out to us every quarter. It's a great dividend yield. Long term, the dividend should continue to increase as oil prices firm back up. And by the way, they're doing really cool things with their cash flow because they're not taking a lot of variability in the dividend. They fixed the dividend payment. So this is not going to fluctuate every quarter. So you have a fixed dividend rate, but they are also buying back stock. They have a large authorization left, and they're paying down debt. So, and now we have insiders buying. They already own quite a bit of the stock. They have over 20% ownership of this thing. So insiders, again, kind of on the same table as you are, and you're benefiting from some long-term trends.
Okay, awesome.
And one more, because I wish I'd like to give you at least three. It's Methode Electronics, the symbol's EEI. They make components and subsystems, keyboards and card.
Did you say
MEI? Mary
MEI, excuse me.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yeah, about a $10 stock, 5% dividend yield here. They're kind of in a transformation stage of the business. They've hired a new CEO. They've got strict executive stock ownership requirements. Executives have to own at least 2x their salary in stock. The CEO has to own 6 times. So, and we've had, this one's only had director buying recently, but the insiders do own a lot of stock, and they all own stock. So this one kind of hit the radar screen. Their products are used in LED lighting systems, user interfaces. Their sensors that are used, digital data and digital data transportation. And so their customers include Dell, Cisco, Hewlett Packard, all of the major car companies, your heavy equipment companies like Paccar, NASCAR, audio companies like Bosch speakers. They're used in a wide variety of industries, not exactly recession proof. The company is extremely cheap. It's trading around asset value. They are producing free cash flow. They are buying back a little bit of stock. They're paying a decent dividend, and this stock desperately needs to be sold. The company needs to be bought.
Awesome.
It's of a size where this business would fit better inside a much larger electronics business.
Okay, I mean, 371 mil cap, that could easily be rolled up.
Yeah, or I could make you a strong case for a private equity purchase of this too.
Sure.
Because you do some spinning out of parts and stuff. So, all right, guys, that's all I've got for you today.
Tim, that's awesome. I do have one question before we get you out of here. Nash Trading is saying, good morning. Could we request an update from Tim on a bank stock he called out back in May, TCBS, Texas Community Bank?
Let's pull it up. We love Texas Community Bank. Just pull it up here. This is a business bank. It was started in the aftermath of the great financial crisis because there was no longer any banks left in the Texas area that were doing business lending. So now they're in Houston, Dallas, San Antonio, just moved into Austin. The stock since May has been pretty much sideways.
It's up about a point, I think, since May. Was this one of the stocks that you said?
Did we say? I'm sorry. Did we say TCBS or TCBX?
The question came from the ticker from the person in question said TCBS.
Okay, TCBS, different story. This is a thrift conversion that was done several years ago. They're coming up on their anniversary and will be eligible for takeover. Trading at 90% a book, lots of capital, rock solid balance sheet in Mineola, Texas, which is about 80 miles east of Dallas, Texas. It functions, it's always been a rural community, and it still is semi-rural, but more and more it's becoming a bedroom community for retirees that don't want to be too far from Dallas for healthcare, for cultural and other reasons. So great little bank. It's going to be one of the more boring stocks that you ever own until the day that it gets taken over. So if you need excitement, this is not your stock.
So basically, the plan here is to just kind of wait this one out until the takeover. You don't have any other sell plans until then.
No, look, the thrift
So no update then. Yeah.
buying thrift conversions will have the highest success rate of anything that you ever do. Okay, I'm highly confident of that. These banks are very conservative banks. The IPO process creates value in and of itself and creates enormous amounts of capital that over the life of the bank, they can't do anything for the first year with as far as dividends or buying back stock, but they get very involved in buying back stock. They are allowed to switch from just residential lending as a thrift to get into more commercial lending, raising the rate of return. About 75% of these things get taken over within 5 years of the IPO. So I love thrift banks in general. I really love thrift banks in the state of Texas because Texas is one of the more attractive bank M&A markets, and it always has been and always will be.
Okay.
So if you need excitement, guys, this stock's not for you. If you're looking to earn a rate of return well in excess of the S&P 500 over, say, a 3 to 5 year period, this is your guy right here.
Okay. Awesome. Appreciate that update, Nash. Great question. Appreciate all the attention. Yeah, thank you, Tim. One more thing. Diamond League Streaming, he's giving some solid tickers, man. Thanks, Tim. We appreciate all of the time that you give us here. Be safe, man. Good luck with the hurricane. Let us know if there's anything we can do for you, okay?
Yeah, not a thing. We should be good. We're going to get the dogs out one more time. We've got a couple of books to read, including David Rubenstein's new one on the presidency. Very cool. Go buy the book. And other than that, we got some work and some research, and let's hope the power stays on. That would be awesome.
Okay. Okay. Really good stuff, Tim. Keep us posted. Stay safe. And thanks again for all of your input and insight.
Will do, guys. Thank you.
Take care. That is Tim Melvin. I'm telling you, that is awesome. First of all, I love everything about what the chat was doing here today. Love that you compliment our guests. That's awesome. That's the type of environment we want to run around here. Love the follow-up questions.
Love bringing some of these trades around. Bringing some of these trades around that he was talking about earlier. It was one of the best parts.
Yes, agreed.
Good to see that it was working. Also, there was a lot of mention here with Hollow. That was getting halted and ran up to 819, and now it's coming back into VWAP. Guess the market's not waiting for this one, but I still think that if in the coming days we could end up getting a bigger move with Hollow.
Okay.
It's just something that I think we need to wait for. This is great that we're getting some of this today, but there could be a bigger move coming.
Tim's no guest. He's family. Robert, that's the comment of the day, boss. That is the comment of the day so far. Let's effing go. All right. So that's great. A lot of stuff. By the way, I did add PSEC there. Full disclosure, long-term account, added some PSEC there. Ooh, I love that thesis right there. Also, there were a lot of stocks going off. Hollow was one of them. Really good job covering that. I noticed that Smoke Tuna was mentioning IKT. This one has been crazy, right? This looked like this was going to try and break this 165, came back in, did it the second time around. Now it's trying to push higher here. This was pretty awesome. There was another one, I think, Google Comp. You were all over Google. Here is Google. You were shorting that. By the way, I covered up my Nike short. Is this price action here today? Just not great. Covered it up. We'll wait for this here again. Not a whole. I think it got like about a point and a half on this short. Was really hoping for more than that. Was really hoping to closer to 10 points. But price action here today, not good. There was some news from Barron's about them increasing their buyback, which they still have $8 billion left in that authorization. We don't want none of that smoke if we're short. Also, Palantir, I can't remember who this was that said this. Palantir is doing a thing. Can't remember who said that, but you are spot on here. I tell you what, this Palantir has been one of our better trades. That 45 target that we've been waiting for, that is coming quickly.
Hollow halted to the downside now. Also, Chicago Realtor was asking if Tim's was saying that there was a insider buying an MEI. Yes, that's one of the ones. That's Method Electronics that he had on his list. I think this was more. He was looking at this more of a company that could be get picked up at some point. But yes, the insider buying is happening here. I can't remember every detail. Maybe when Ryan comes back, he might be able to help us out with that. But yes, it's one of the ones he mentioned. Looks like we're getting a mention on LAZR.
All right, sorry about that. Had to blow my nose.
Could you help me remind me
Yeah.
what Tim was saying about MEI for Chicago Realtor? That was an insider buy, but what else was the information he was giving there?
Yeah, there was a couple of things on this one. So here, let me go back to it real quick. Insider buy. Also, I think this did pay a small dividend. Did it not? Yeah,
Yeah, it does.
5% dividend while you're waiting for that. He did say that this is one of those that really needs to get bought out. So you're going to be looking for, you wake up one day, stock's up 30, 40, whatever percent on the acquisition. And in the meantime, you get paid for that. Price is a little bit lower here. That's what I remember from MEI.
Sniper. Hollow should be somewhere around. Well, I think we got the actual number earlier from one of our folks here in the chat. I think it was like 5 million and change should be the new float amount after the reverse split. PLL is ripping, says Robert. This is one of the lithium plays. Also has it's a short squeeze candidate, 17.4% with 7.1 days to cover. So now this one's up 20% today. Massive. Thinking about it, saying Lunar had a big dip and he bought that up and now it's turning around. That is a big dip and it is turning around. The pre-market consolidation we were getting, that's where we'd like to see it go back to. And I have that between about 735 to 745. So about a 10-cent range there. We have some consolidation from pre-market.
Chicago Realtors asking, is there a website that shows insider buys for stocks? Yes, you're looking at it. It's called Benzinga Pro. It has a ton of insider stuff. First of all, obviously it has insider for individual names, but it actually also has its own, I clicked on the wrong one. It has its own insider tool. So if you actually need help finding new insider buys, I always default to this multiple insider buys one. That's generally pretty good. You can do that here as well. So yes, look, I'm a company guy. I don't know what to tell you. Benzinga Pro is the spot for those insider stocks there. And I believe I saw James Santangelo in our chat earlier. Unsure if he's still here, but if he is, reach out to him. He can hook you up with a deal. That's what he does. We call him Double D for deals. Got the office assistant over my right shoulder here. What are you doing, sweet buddy? He's going to take a cat nap, it looks like. Take a cat nap. All right, KXI has another penny stock here. Looks like that's ripping. FFI. Oh, here we go. Faraday. Who's trading this one? Faraday Futures. FFIE volume expansion. Boom, to the moon. This is, of course, a multiple reverse splitter. Don't be fooled. But we are seeing some action here on FFIE.
All right, just waiting for Hollow to unhalt, see what this is going to do. Yeah, this FFIE, is this the one that I always talk down on? Hold on a second. There's no, that's FCell. That thing is just a reverse split monster. But this one, FFIE, 28.5% of the float shorted, 1 day to cover, but that might be today. We're also getting, so PLL, Daniel mentioning again, that one's just, having a great day.
Sorry,
back now.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, it's just mentioning that PLL pulling back now off that 20%. Got as high as looks like over 1540. I didn't have the exact number in front of me. FFIE is a meme stock, yes. Smoke Tuna mentioning SRFM, and then Enogenesis is mentioning KXIN. Hollow is open. Looking for a recapture of 725, unless it cannot get above VWAP. Looks like that's not the case right now. If this goes down,
some weakness here, yeah.
Yeah, if that can't get back above VWAP, then I think it comes down to about 620, maybe down underneath 6 as well.
Okay. Carmen here. Sorry I missed this. There was a lot going on. Ryan, on PSEC, I'm wondering about Moody's recent downgrade on its Baa3 credit grade to negative. Noted that it's near junk status. Sorry I was unable to ask Tim that. I will try and get you an answer, though. I just grabbed that question you had. I'll see if I can get an answer from him. I'll let you know the next time I see you. Good morning. Stay focused. I had just mentioned I actually closed up my Nike short here this morning. Shouted you, by the way. Appreciate that mention here. Price action, definitely bullish here today. We locked in the 1.5. I know we were looking for closer to 10 on this trade. We might have another opportunity, especially when that buyback exhausts itself, but did close it here. 1.5 gain on the short side. We'll reset.
Looking for
reset.
Looking for the 20-day SMA in Nike as the next potential area of resistance. If you look on a daily chart, you can see that ever since it dropped beneath that, it has been getting rejected, trying to recapture it.
What value do you have for that 20-day SMA?
I have it at 83.77.
Okay.
So that would be the first level I'd be looking for to recapture. Once we get that, then I think there's a good case to turn bullish and expect better things out of Nike. 85 would be a great breakout level, but first we need to recapture that 20-day SMA.
Okay. Taking a look at the market here. SPY up at the highs, Q's up at the highs, Dow up at the highs. They are all off their highs, and they're not necessarily running, but they are trading higher here. Speaking of trading higher, Palantir, PLTR. Look at this move. I actually, at this point now, it has moved. So I hope it just keeps going to 45, lets me fill it, and then does what it did. If this thing pulls back and gives any type of pullback and then holds it, I'd actually reload this trade, especially after taking out, or especially after closing this one for a gain. I mean, let's see, we're up 75% on this trade. Absolutely. We can get over that 100% gain here, get this puppy closed out.
Market certainly wants, or the SPY certainly looking to try and get into 574 handle. It's been trying for the past 20 minutes.
Also, one more move that I made in my portfolio. I should let you guys know. This MCRB, I dumped this. We're playing this a little bit. This was a lotto ticket. I don't know if anything's going to happen here. It's really done nothing but kind of sell off. So dumped the rest of what I had here. It was about flat because I actually sold a little when it started to move up, just to kind of book some gains on that move. But I'm out here, MCRB. No more lotto ticket for me on that.
Jay Grant, it doesn't matter how big your profit is. The fact that you got green on the screen, you did well, you executed. That's all that matters. Just keep up with that. And if you're done then for today, then that's great too. That's great discipline. Not going to harp on the size of your profit. I don't even think you really, if you want to, you don't even have to mention how much you made. But I still think you did great.
Yeah, one thing I will say about actual profit numbers, percentages are one thing, but actual profit numbers at the end of the day doesn't really help any strategy out. And hear me out on that. If you've got someone that has size, that's trading 3,000-4,000 shares of Google, for example, whatever profit they make on a trade is not really going to be comparable to what you make. What's going to be way more important than those actual numbers is going to be the process. Did you execute? What did you realize? And then that process that you executed, is that repeatable? Because if you can do that, it almost doesn't matter what your balance is. You should be able to grow that over time. The other thing is traders do this from all different levels. Like I said, my first ever account was $500. Most traders that get involved now, I mean, they're talking pretty substantial balances. So it really doesn't matter. Those profit numbers don't matter. The what's behind the curtain, if you will, matters a lot more. And that's one of the reasons why you see us focusing on that stuff as well.
And then Carmen mentioning that she was having second thoughts on PSEC. That's fine too. Don't if it doesn't fit your plan, or if it doesn't you don't like the way it looks, no one's forcing you to trade it. And besides, Carmen, you already know what you're doing. You've done that. You're doing well in other names as well. I don't think you even need PSEC.
Yeah, I mean the one thing that he was saying is that PSEC is one of those. One of the reasons that he likes it is because C-suite executives are so tied to the performance of that stock that even if something negative happens, he feels confident that something's going to turn around. And he's also noticed that those insiders end up buying weakness, which is generally speaking is what you want for a stock that you hold. But what 13 was just saying to you, you do seem to have a ton of positions at any given time. I don't think one of them is going to make or break you.
And
Smoke Tuna here, reiterating what we were just saying. The name of the game is not about the money you make. It's the percentage of good trades that you take. Would agree with that. Because again, whatever those numbers are, they can adjust, they can grow the whole 9 yards. But we're here talking about some dividend stocks. You throw some dividend stocks in your portfolio, come back a couple of years, you'd be like, where did all this money come from? Money really does grow on trees. The dividend stock.
paper assets. Yeah, it looks like we're getting a good move into 574 now with the SPY.
Yeah, sure are.
Not too far away from all-time high, 574.71. What's going to happen, folks?
Those SQQQ calls, those are for next week, so I still got some time on that. We'll see.
PLTR, Palantir, 42.65, current intraday high.
Yep. Gotta love Palantir. Gotta love Palantir.
Hollow looking much weaker now. This may halt to the downside again.
Let me bring that up here. Sorry, I was reviewing X.
Still moving, but that was a pretty big move down. Wow. SPY popped. Went up to 574.43.
Here is that SPY pop.
Doing good, happy things there. All right.
Yeah, I laughed at that too. That Robert's pretty reserved. So when I saw that, I was like, yeah, Robert's having a good day. And that is a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
How about that PLTR move, Sydney? I'm actually pretty surprised. This is substantial, right? I know it's only 2.75% here, but man, big rip on good volume.
Chicago Realtor. I don't know if there's going to really be anything new out of the FOMC meeting minutes. It's for us, we're going to just basically read what we already know. But as far as with the how the market's going to take it, that could definitely move it around. But I don't think there's going to be anything new that we don't already know that they had mentioned during their actual FOMC meeting.
PLL,
Yeah,
that's coming back in. What's
that's
up?
great, Jay Grant. No, that's great, Jay Grant. Absolutely. That's great. Let's grow that account.
Yep. Start small so that if something really terrible happens, it doesn't actually affect your day-to-day life. That's going to be something else. And then, grow it. And here's the other thing. When you grow an account from a small account, you will learn some very valuable lessons across that journey. And you will be able to then apply those lessons to when those balances are higher. And you should be more well set up for longevity, which is really going to be the key to this game. Yeah, so scapegoat. Let's talk about that, okay? Let's talk about that. So I have no position in this, full disclosure here. Stay focused. I know that I saw that you had mentioned earlier, this is strong like bull. Indeed it is. So here's what's going on with this. Of course, we had a short report yesterday. It was a Hindenburg short report, which is why the move down was so pronounced here in the pre-market. There's been a number of short reports on Roblox. There was actually one, I think, October 3rd from the Bear Cave that had very little effect on the price. But the one yesterday is from Hindenburg. Hindenburg's been pretty good. And we can see that Roblox yesterday, this was actually a great bounce play. Some of you, I believe, took this in the chat yesterday. Great bounce play. We got back a lot of what we lost. Today, we're pretty much right back to even. So the next step here for me on Roblox is going to be, do we continue to move up from this? Do we continue to move higher here post that short report? Or does it maybe kind of retest this area and move back down? Generally speaking, when we've talked about short reports, they do a really good job of doing their homework, and Hindenburg is generally a level above some of the other ones. So again, I have no position here on Roblox. I guess given some of the things that we saw out of that report, perhaps we're a little bit surprised here, but we're pretty much right back to where we started. We really haven't moved above that yet.
Yeah.
Lynn saying creepy company. You're not the only person that said that. We actually had a couple of other people who have children in the happy hour last night that did say it was creepy as well.
Yeah, yesterday I was saying in happy hour how yesterday's candle, that was about as bullish of a candle as you can get.
Yes, you did. Actually, you said exactly that in the happy hour.
So this upside that we're getting here, not surprising, but I do think we're coming up to a pretty significant resistance area. I'd say between 42 and 42.50, there could be a turnaround. I don't know if that's going to happen today. Maybe it happens tomorrow, but I think between that area, that 42 to 42.50, that's where we're going to see the resistance that could cause it to reverse.
BNZI getting mentioned here.
Looks like Wonder Woman trying to turn around as well. That thing has not been very good today. Maybe it gets back up to VWAP. What else? Maybe it's a BNZI. Let me see what's going on with that. I had that on here. There it is. That's also trying to go back to its VWAP, which is at 579. I think that'd be my first stop for this one. If I was in this one right here, I think I'd be selling up around VWAP.
544. Sorry, 544 has a little bit of size there that you really need to get over here if this is going to go back to VWAP. BNZI.
That's Buru you have on there. There you go.
I was looking at the other window that has the L2 in there. Appreciate that.
Gotcha. All right. Well, things are really moving slowly, even if they are moving up. Palantir finally getting some weakness after a nice, what was that? Nice 30 minutes of upside.
Of just straight up, of being vertical.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it knows what's up.
Can I take back my comment on the other day? It's not ignoring bad news. That's going to be Boeing. Yeah, I mean, Jay, things change, and it looks like that's exactly what's going on here. Let me bring up Boeing. Didn't we have some more bad news here this morning? Oh, my goodness.
Yes, regarding the strike. So that's why we're getting that weakness
Further
today.
negotiations do not make sense after striking workers force S&P to place plane makers' credit rating on negative watch.
Chicago Realtor, I don't really have a swing account. I basically have like a long-term account and a trading account. And that's, I guess you could fold swings into that as well. But as far as energy goes in my trading account, I do think I have a couple here. Most of them they're all in my long-term because they pay dividends. I like them in my long-term account, so I don't think I have any in my short-term here. But let me just double check, because I think I do. I did plug a couple of Tim Melvin ones in here. I'll get back to you, but I'm pretty sure. I guess VTS could be one, since I just picked up a little bit of that today. But I really don't have it in my trading account. Just my long-term.
Jay saying, BA, I think the debt about to go to junk.
Makes sense.
Yeah, it does make sense.
PLTR might be turning around. You want to keep an eye on that.
PLTR, I think one of the things that we need to watch here. Oh, goodness, come on, chart. One of the things we need to watch here is going to be the VWAP. We're still a ways away from VWAP here. If this holds 42, frankly, I could actually see this bouncing again here today. IKT had just had that up here. It's right back at its VWAP on IKT. BNZI is looking like it's still trying to go back to its VWAP as well. Big B's mentioning SMCI is printing. I can't bring myself. You're right. Up 5.6%. Boy, I tell you what, the Qs are moving. And look at this. Look at this move here on SMCI. I think we go back to some of those, the $50 highs here. Sure looks like it, at least right now.
Let me see, because I made a claim on SMCI yesterday. Oh, yeah, that it still needs to get back above its 50-day SMA if we're going to see more upside. And it's been kind of trading between that and the 20. So that would be, for me, that would be the thing I'd want to see, is this to get back above the 50-day SMA first. Still don't have a whole lot of confidence in this company right now. Playing SMCX, Tesla short on. Small gap on its daily chart. Yeah, that was trying to get, I mean, it looked like it was going to get filled a little bit there yesterday, but that was, got a rejection of the 50. So that gap that I think you're talking about, that fills at 51.35.
This on SMCI?
48.75. Where is this that you're referring to? Do you have a date for that? Because the one I'm referring to is from August 27th to 28th.
I think that's where the gap starts, no? What do you say? 48.70? Yeah.
Yeah, okay, that's where it starts.
Yeah, start here, ends where the number that you gave.
Yeah, that's where it fills. Okay.
Look, between the two of you, you guys got this gap on lockdown. Okay, let's face it.
No, we're arguing with each other. Only one of us can be right.
No. We're arguing with each other. Oh man, that's funny.
I got you.
Ooh. Sorry for yawning. That is not what we need.
Hey, it happens when you're tired. Like this market.
Yeah, I tried to stay up and watch the Hawks game. It started at 9:30 and stayed up later than I normally do. And probably I'm a little bit more tired here today. BNZI.
Uh-oh. Is it doing the thing?
Yeah, well, it's trying to close that distance to the VWAP here, 573. It will be interesting to see if we punch over it. Remember, we've already tested this once since breaking beneath it. We did not have the strength to get over it. Will things be different this time around? The die has not been cast yet, but we shall see.
What else are we looking at? I guess Market Sniper mentioning IKT. Yeah, well, this is above VWAP, but I don't like these upper shadows that it keeps putting up here every time it gets into gets above 170.
SMCX, this is the SMCI ETF, much more digestible price here. Lynn, I like this strategy. Don't trade this myself, but maybe I should start doing that. That way I can participate with you guys.
Yeah, just trying to figure out what we can look at to get rid of this dead air. Doesn't seem like there's a whole lot of things just absolutely, putting in big moves right now, except for maybe BNZI. It's just, I think the only question is whether or not it's going to break above that VWAP or not. Looks like SPY also trying to push higher.
Hollow, maybe it did bounce here a little bit. Yeah, Lynn and Randy, look, the way I'm looking at this is I'm just glad hockey's back, right? We got some more games tonight. I'm just happy it's back.
Yeah, maybe Hollow does try to turn around, and if it does, 685 would probably be the spot I'd be looking towards. Just don't know with this one right now. But is this a change in the relative volume? So this could be a relative volume play tomorrow, Hollow, and we might get that bigger move then. Just don't know if we're going to get that today. And there's a lot of levels I've marked off for this one too.
Out some BNZI just to lock in. Stop placed at 544 on the remainder. So that trade is just at least done for right now. We'll see if it breaks above VWAP. It doesn't need to. PLL continuing to bounce here off of VWAP. MNTS getting mentioned here. That was the penny stock from earlier. Might have another run in it here. Do like to see the expanding volume along with the move through the VWAP there. That is definitely helpful.
Oh yeah, good mention, Smoke Tuna, on LASE. That just had a well, it's in the process of having a very ugly knife. Maybe this goes down to 775.
That has just been under the VWAP all day.
Mm-hmm.
All day. Palantir, did we get back into its VWAP here? Let's see. Almost. It's starting to bounce here. Almost came into that VWAP. Trying to hold on to that 42 handle. A-Lab, this kind of drifting back up to its intraday high there, around 63.
Looks like SPY on the verge of trying to put in a new intraday high. It's almost there. BNZI, that looks like it might be getting some support at 530 or close to it. What else?
This is why we structured that trade. Didn't quite get to the VWAP, started to feel heavy. I said, I don't know. We'll just take some gains. Tesla pulling back from the highs. I believe Comp shorted this intraday on this run up. Comp, I don't want to speak for you or your portfolio, but I'm pretty sure that you were taking a short here on this reversal. Looks like it has come in off those highs.
Although pushing up to VWAP.
Disney getting mentioned by Chris. Chris, good morning. I know you've been mentioning this a number of times here today. I remember when we were talking about this, you'd said hurricanes are good for Disney. Not sure how that works, but there you go.
Goldman Sachs certainly doesn't believe that's the case. They think Disney's going to lose between 150 to 200 million dollars as a result of Milton, and see a 6% decrease in attendance. So I think this probably resolves the downside for the hurricane. If it goes under 90.50, that means that we could end up seeing like somewhere down around 88 that it gets some support. Not sure, but at the moment it's putting in a bearish pattern, and I think this could end up going lower. We really wanted to see it hold above 95, didn't get that, so we just got to let this thing resolve itself. Although
Smoke Tuna mentioning BNZI not done, so might get another opportunity there. Well, WW International. So I know the day's not over here, but I have started by saying that you might get, or that you were likely to get, opportunities in both directions here today. That has not been the case thus far. Really, the only direction that this thing has played since the open here is down. Maybe we do bounce and kind of trade back up at some point today, but haven't gotten that yet. Palantir is bouncing still. FMC having a real rough day.
oh yeah, is it coming back into?
Yeah, it sold off yesterday, and it is continuing its down move here today, unfortunately.
That's because it hit 66. That's kind of been what it was doing. Every time it gets above 66, and it doesn't hang out there for too long, comes back in. That's been the case almost the entire year. But we've been making higher lows. We're actually at a trend line right now. I think it would turn around pretty soon. Maybe it needs to test the 200 SMA first, which is interestingly just above $60. Yep, BNZI trying to turn around. That was a good call, Smoke Tuna. Still needed to move up some more. Maybe it takes out VWAP on this move. Yeah, I traded a little bit of Wonder Woman this morning on when it was bouncing, but I don't have any right now. Did pretty good. For stuff that's just completely going down. Now it's starting to turn around. It looks like it's going to test its VWAP here in just a tick. Huge wall at 150 though, so not sure that we're going to see it break through that or not.
IKT, that looks a little bit weak. Weight Watchers still weak.
Nuburu still trying to push into 130. Is it going to do it?
Be aware, folks, if you're on X, you're going to start seeing that recycled picture of the shark swimming in the floodwaters on the street. It is not from this hurricane. It's been around for like 10, 15 years at this point.
It's a shark meme.
You will see that.
Yeah, I feel that, Bigger Bees. It's because if there's one thing that the market showed us when we had that yen carry trade is that it's extremely nervous. I mean, we all saw how fast that happened.
Yep. And then how fast it changed when everything looked like it was going to be okay.
Yeah. So I felt that was kind of akin to showing their hand. They're nervous, even if the VIX doesn't say so. Ooh, BNZI with the pull here. Is this going to go lower under 5?
Well, we traded that one correctly, at least. Whew. Roblox still holding up around 4150 here.
Yeah, BNZI trying to hold. What else do we got here? Hollow still trying to work on getting above that VWAP.
MNTS, another volume pocket here that's at the highs. Wiss, you're on fire today, man. Absolutely on fire.
For IKT, my VWAP I have at 162.8.
I have it at 162.
All right.
I don't have another decimal place, so it might be exactly the same as yours, frankly. BTC can't hold indeed. Lost 62K there on the futures.
Ooh.
BTC not been strong today. Excuse me. Good Lord.
All right. So Hollow, another rejection near VWAP, but kind of at the same time still holding. Looks like Yang has been turning around as the China names showing some weakness. Baru now beneath VWAP. This could end up going lower. BNZI still holding that that demand area that the intraday price action gave us. Also, it's around the lows from pre-market as well after that pop this morning.
Big B is asking, did anyone mention GitLab? No, I did see that this was moving on the relative volume scanner earlier, but it did roll over here. Was there news on this here today? Yeah, Morgan Stanley initiating coverage on GitLab. Overweight rating, price target 70, $18 still away from the current price. So a nice little rating there from Morgan Stanley. That's driving this GitLab up 4.2% here today.
I remember when I was asked about this, but I remember saying that this was a good one, and it just hasn't shown how good it is yet. But hopefully that Morgan Stanley rating will give it the lift that it needs. It's having trouble getting over the 200 SMA, the 200-day SMA. All right, so BNZI, I see a big old wall here at 507, a bid wall. That's helping lift this stock back up. Maybe we get a turnaround here with that, or the bears come in and just take it right out. That's also a possibility.
Market here still holding up near highs, 574.50-ish on the SPY. S&P futures here, 58.12.5. Also looking pretty strong. We'll see where these go here.
Remind me to make sure that I tell Nina the great call on Hollow, because I wasn't really expecting the move to occur on the day of the reverse split, because that hasn't been what we've seen happen.
Yeah, and I'm actually pretty happy with myself because when she brought it up, my initial reaction was to be like, hey, we don't really look at penny stocks here, but this did actually give an opportunity. Hopefully Nina's crushing it.
Mm-hmm. I still think there's going to be a bigger move coming, though.
SMR tanking.
Well, thank you, Comp.
Much appreciated. I generally try not to ask for those just because it can be annoying if the host is constantly asking for likes. I mean, you guys know what to do. But I really appreciate it when you folks jump on and try to encourage the other folks to do that. That is helpful, and it is a free way to support us. So we really, really do appreciate that.
PLTR and LAZR, they're both showing some bullish movement at the moment. They're both of these current candles they were in were pushing up at the same time. I didn't know if there was anything going on here, if this market's trying to lift some of these names that have been moving this morning.
The LTR, give it to me. You know, the one thing you had mentioned, LAZR, I can't remember if you were here when I mentioned this earlier today, but this company is attached to Tesla for some of its devices that have to do with the automated driving, which we're going to hear about tomorrow. So LAZR might, I'm not saying you should buy it today. It's going to go tomorrow. I'm just saying that this one might be in play here tomorrow.
Yeah, I think I was here for that.
Yeah, I couldn't remember.
Laser beams on Tesla's heads.
Oh, no, that was right. Of course. Lion, take care of yourself. I think you are in Florida, right, Lion? Or you're in the South there. Be safe, man. Hopefully everything's all right.
Well, Lynn,
Carmen, take care of yourself. Thanks for your support.
Lion and Carmen, both of you take care. But Lynn Williams, I would think sometime next week. I mean, a lot of these reverse split names that we've been seeing have their movement. It's been after the reverse split, not the day after, but about a week or more after. So that's what I'd be expecting. But it's also a guess at this point because I don't really know when this is going to take off. But that would be my expectation.
Hey.
Oh, right.
Big bees. Nice. Yeah, we'll take this one. Ringing the register on PLTR calls 29 cents to $1.45. That is how it is done, my friend. That is how it was done. And if those were just plain calls, I'm doing butterflies just to kind of negate some of the risk. But great job there, Big bees. Great job on Palantir. I'll tell you what, at this point now, especially with more profits built up from this trade whenever it gets closed, this will not be the last stab at Palantir. I can assure you that.
Looks like Hollow's trying to push up here. And then somebody just came in with a bid. That got taken out. It's trying to really push above VWAP right now. If it does, then I'd be looking at 725. So we'll see if that's what happens there. AGBA, worth watching for news.
NISN. This is one of those that we were looking at recently. This thing got absolutely destroyed here today.
That was the Andy special.
Yeah, but so announces $15 million share repurchase program. I think this thing was under promotion today.
So now the move is rotate out of that one and go into WETH.
Well, WTH is getting slammed today.
So yeah, it is.
So here's what I'm looking at. Investors Live, whom I've been following my entire career, really like the dude. Think he's an ace trader. Walk up for the ages, but they paid third party to pump it today. And then they deleted their page promoting it. Yikes. Well, I tell you what, the movement here on NISN speaks for itself. But I'm wondering then if they found that connection to the WTH, which is one we talked about. I'm still holding WTH here. This down 14%. But you're right here. This might actually just be a opportunity to add this because this one hasn't gone through that huge move or that promotion.
Yeah.
Oh, right. North Carolina. I'm sorry, Lion. I'm sorry, man. Well, you have your hands full anyway. So good luck. Thanks for your support.
Apollo's still above VWAP right now, looking for 725. I mean, if this gets going and takes out the 819 intraday high, then I'd be looking at 855 and then 1015 next. I could give you levels going going all the way up. Let's see here, into the 40s. But I just don't know how much of that we're going to end up seeing today. Yeah, just share her. All right. What else is moving now? It looks like Lunar after. I mean, that was a great ad down there. I think thinking about it, and some other folks had picked up Lunar after that drop this morning. Still pushing up. Not quite back to where it started though. Got about 20 cents to get there.
Sideshow, WW means worth watching. So a stock is worth watching when someone says that. Very common shorthand.
Yeah, and it's got to be lowercase w's. Otherwise, we're going to think it's the Weight Watchers.
That's right. That's right.
Okay.
Interesting. They were just saying, talking with teens for the fall, the top 3 brands that teens talked about. Number 1 was Nike.
No way.
Yeah, that's what it. Well, this is from CNBC, so take it with a grain of salt. I guess Piper Sandler ran the survey. Number 2 was American Eagle, and number 3 was Lululemon. So what does that Lululemon chart look like here? 273. Okay.
Thinking about it, if it's worth watching at all, it's going to be worth watching for a break over VWAP. It just tried that 5 minutes ago, and it didn't get it. But I appreciate the correct capitalization.
I love that he tried to troll you, and instead you took his troll attempt, and you're like, oh yeah, watch this. I'm going to answer your troll attempt seriously.
It was funny. It was a great troll. I liked it. I thought it was funny.
That is the pump on Nike. Well, you know what? Stay focused. Let's wait for that pump to end and get ourselves some better short entry. Don't need to sit all the way through this. Short booked.
Good morning, Mike.
Good morning, Mike. Katana Maiku. I can't say that stuff correctly, but hey, I'll take that. I'll absolutely take that. Yeah, absolutely. Kirk Cousins, you like that? You like that? We got that. And we should have Zunaid joining us here pretty soon. Zunaid, I believe, is going to have a show right after us. So
look at Laser, LAZR.
LAZR.
We're out to make new intraday highs. I think $1 could be in the cards here, folks. SPY flying.
Indeed it is. 574.77, your high print there on the SPY, and that is the Qs are also moving higher, and that is not good for my SQQQ trade.
Which is a new all-time high. New all-time high in SPY. Just barely, though. Less than 10 cents at this point. Okay, now it's more. All right, looks like we're headed for a 575. And almost there.
Take care of yourself, Lynn.
We got it. See you in happy hour. Yeah, 3 cents away from 575. Should get it.
Nike's still at the high as well. There he is.
There he is.
What is going on, fellas? Good morning to you.
Oh, I thought you were going to say what's up, and I was going to be like, Palantir, because it's been up all day, but you said what's going on tonight.
Man, Palantir is one of those where I was like, yeah, I'm going to get it when it breaks 10. Broke 10. Yeah, I'm going to get it when it breaks 20. Broke 20. I'm going to wait for the pullback. Here we are at 40 plus.
And you know what, Zunaid? Same with me. I don't know if James is still here. Shout out to James Santangelo from our team, because he actually did buy it when it was lower and I chickened out. But here's a pro tip for you, Zunaid. As I was watching this thing go up and I was like, I don't want to buy it. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. I said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take an Anne-Marie style trade, get a butterfly on this, reduce my risk, reduce the capital outlay, and we're cooking now. So there is still hope. There is still a way to do this, even if you feel like it runs away from you.
Speaking of cooking, look at SPY. We're really into 575 now.
Zane, what do you got coming up here?
We've got Futures Fever with Kevin. He is someone who coaches traders. There's a lot of insights that I'm sure he can provide us where, trading isn't just about technicals and kind of staying disciplined. It's also about a lot of other intangible and tangible perspectives as well. So we'll talk to him about some of the insights there. We'll obviously go over some trade ideas as well with SPY ripping higher. That means there might be some opportunities in the ES and the NQ for us to take a trade on as well. And we'll talk technical analysis. So a lot of nerdy stuff for us to geek out on here in just a minute or two. But any final thoughts?
Yeah, you guys are in the perfect spot to do exactly that here. ES going vertical as we speak. So have a good one. Closing thoughts. It's Schlump Day. Don't overreact.
It's Schlump Day. What does that mean?
Hump Day, but you just call it Schlump Day instead. So Wednesday.
Yeah, folks, don't get greedy. It's been a great day.
Just because like a
because it's generally a day where it's like, it's not the beginning of the week where it's front loaded with news or earnings, or the end of the week where there's some event. It's like the middle of the week where things are turning and stuff. And today we do have the SPY pumping here. So
it is Schlump Day because I went to go switch the banner to Apex and I read it as all access. And that's why I was there for a second. So you know what? Yeah. Okay. Schlump Day it is, buddy. Appreciate you.
Peace.
Take care. Yeah. See ya. All right, chat. Like I said, we're going to go and bring on Kevin here in just a moment, but I want to talk about Apex here. And Apex is a platform where it's an evaluation platform, right? So you can go to Apex Trader Funding and you can go ahead. I personally use a $50,000 eval accounts where you pay, I think right now they have 80% off. So make sure you take advantage of that. And then you can actually, go ahead and pass the eval for $50,000 account. The target is about 3,000. Your stop loss is 2,500. It does get trailing. So be mindful of that. And then once you pass the eval phase, you can go ahead and get what's called a funded account. And you can I pay the lifetime fee of $165 for the $50,000 account. And then you can go ahead and trade it as if it's your own account. The best way to put it for me is that it's not a paper trading account. It's not a real money trading account. It's somewhere in the middle, but whatever profits you make from the funded account, you're able to cash out. You have to make sure you follow their rules. So, they want to make sure that people aren't just gambling and YOLOing everywhere else, and you're practicing your due diligence and trade setups and risk management as well. Let me go and bring on my next guest, Kevin here. Good morning, Kevin. How are you?
Hey, good morning. Thank you so much for having me. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, man. The markets are ripping higher. People were waiting for a pullback. People were scared for Armageddon when it was August 5th, but here we are now on October 9th, making all-time highs, it seems. But how's your morning been?
Pretty good, man. I know this morning, at first, we were very choppy. I go over some live streams and stuff. I always trade live in the mornings. And something I was mentioning was we were coming into a lot of supply, which sort of works as resistance. So even though when we look at the daily time frame, we were ranging, we did have a very strong candle yesterday, but there was a good chance because of these zones, we would range our way higher, which is exactly what we did. So there were no really clean setups here, right? A lot of people who might try to catch this breakout here could have been stopped out on the pullback. Happened 5-10 times, Oh, there's the chart. Perfect.
Yeah, my bad. Yeah.
That's all right. So yeah, I noticed, we had some, and I marked them out with time frames. I do my time frame analysis and supply and demand. These are huge when it comes to my trading, helps me understand direction and the bigger picture. A lot of people, I feel like when they get started with trading, they get very stuck on the lower time frames, the 5 minute, the 1 minute. And it makes you bias jump, makes you go long, makes you go short, makes you go long, makes you question a lot. You go to a higher time frame, you could see areas of liquidity, some major pivots, you could see highs, lows, and direction a lot easier.
Yeah. Now let's back up here, right? I'd love to know the red, those are like supply and demand zones, but how are you identifying them? If you could kind of walk us through it, are they scripts that you're using, whether it's free or otherwise? Like, how are you able to say, all right, here is my demand zone, here is my, supply zone?
No, that's a great question. So how I find my zones is I look for an area that we either consolidated or we swept a low and then reversed. For this example, this is a 15-minute time frame. So as we see, it's marked out as a 15-minute zone. And I mark out all my zones myself. There's no indicator for it. So it's just me looking at the charts, doing my own analysis. So I found a 15-minute zone here. And what I look for, if it's a demand zone, is a red basing candle. And then I want a strong move afterwards. So I want an impulse move with some continuation. Now, a lot of times we'll get a candle that looks like a demand zone, but it ends up failing with a continuation. It'll have an impulse move and it'll come right back. Now, the reason these supply and demand zones are so strong and powerful is because we're looking for us to fill that imbalance. So when we create that impulse move out of a supply or a demand zone, what we're doing is we're really creating enough volume to push us higher, but we're also leaving unfilled orders in that zone. And that's what activates when we test that zone again. So as we see here, this was a 15-minute time frame zone, and it worked to sort of give us an idea of the bottom of the range. And that would have worked really well out for some longs if it wasn't 3 in the morning.
Right. Now, so you're right there, right? The demand zone that you have drawn, are you drawing that after that second support stabilizes, right? So you had that move up that you're pointing out, then you have that move back down. Is it after support has been established there that you're like, okay, this is not going to be my supply zone, or excuse me, my demand zone?
No, so I'm looking for the
initial one.
the basing and the impulse move and continuation. Once I have that, so if we were at this point right here, that would still be a 15-minute demand zone because we have that imbalance that was created. So then I would be patient and sort of wait to see how the market wants to react once we get back to that zone again. You know, we could set an alert for that zone, because with supply and demand, and what throws people off is that you sort of have to wait for us to come back to that zone or area. And a lot of people say, oh, well, you know, then you're sort of waiting, you're letting the market move. You got to let the market move. As traders, we should be reacting. We shouldn't be predicting. We should be reacting to the market, and we should be reacting to the reactions. We should have predetermined levels, understand previous day's highs, lows, and the range, and just be prepared every morning we come into it.
Now, did you end up taking a trade at that demand zone today? Or
I did not. This was at 3 in the morning.
Oh,
So
that's right. You mentioned that.
I don't know about you, but I'm usually sleeping.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it depends on how sad I am about the money that I lost last night. So, you know, it all depends. But okay,
right.
let's see that this is kind of on demand. Let's take a look at any potential. By the way, like, let's say you did. Let's say you were up at 3 a.m. You would have taken this trade, I assume. And if that is correct, walk me through how you would identify where your stop loss would be and where your profit targets would be. And I say that with an S in case you're someone who likes to scale out.
Dude, that's a fantastic question, and I'm glad you asked it. So if I'm trading strictly off of that supply or demand zone and I'm expecting a move, I'm usually either getting long somewhere near the top or somewhere towards the middle, because what I want to do is I want to have a tighter stop loss. However, you do sort of have to be careful, because if I'm looking for a demand zone to hold, it's not going to break, right? So if I have a demand zone that was used 3 times and we're hitting it again and I want to go long off that demand zone, well, then maybe I could use a recent pivot low or something like that. But I would still look for longs, because without a clean break of the zone, it's still a valid zone. There's still valid buyers in that area. And same with sellers. We had a supply zone up here. So where would I look to short? I would maybe look to see on a 5 or a 15-minute. This is a 5-minute candle. So we could see this rejection candle off of this previous high on the lower time frame. So I would maybe then try to take the short there and either stop at the recent high, or if I want to be a little more protective, you know, let it sort of play out a bit, could move it up a few ticks as well, because again, that zone isn't broken until it's broken. If we push through it a little bit in reverse, it's still valid.
Gotcha. And then your targets are typically like what, 1 and 1, or 1 and 1 R? What are we looking at?
Well, usually, and another great question, I'm always looking for at least 3 to 1 risks to reward. And the reason for that is because it creates a lot less stress. As traders, what happens is we become very stressful, right? We hit a losing streak, we take 2 losses in a row, start sort of freaking out. Where's my account going? What's going on? Now I have to revenge trade. What happens when you revenge trade? You lose even more, you really blow it. If you're able to risk 1 R per trade, every single trade, and you're averaging some type of 3 to 1, you know, you're going to be able to risk 100 to make 300. You're able to have 2 winning trades in a row to profit 600. Then you could take 3 losses in a row. So that's 2 wins, 3 losses, and still be up that 300 or whatever the risk and reward was. So with that being said, you know, some of my best months are like 45% win rates. And that's because I'm looking for really clean setups. Now, another thing about this is, and same with supply and demand, you have to wait for your setups. And that's the difference between a high probability setup and a low probability setup. You know, when we look for a low probability setup, we're usually looking for momentum. We're looking for a scalp. We don't have much confirmation. When we look for confirmation, we look for some type of liquidity sweep. We look for an area of interest to hold, whatever it might be. That gives us more confirmation to take that trade.
What's a liquidity sweep mean?
Yeah, so a
How
liquidity
do you
sweep
see it?
would be something like this. So you see this pivot high right here?
Mm-hmm.
So I would sort of mark out some highs and lows or wherever we are in the market. And I would mark that out. This would be buy side liquidity, right? So if we were going to push above this level, a lot of buyers would be triggered, right? A lot of people would stop out of sell orders, which means they have to buy their orders back. And some people who are trying to breakout trade might end up going long too. So a lot of buy side liquidity is being created in this area. So I would line something up with like buy side liquidity along with a supply zone to add more confirmation, right? To look for things like that. Now, of course, there's so much more, you know, understanding daily structure, daily bias, you know, all these things. So there's definitely a lot to trading than just A, B, and C.
Yeah.
But once you could sort of get some basics like finding supply and demand zones, so you're able to understand ranges or understanding previous day's high and previous day low, even just marking those levels out could help traders understand, okay, if we're in between that previous day, there's a good chance that each move is going to fail. There's a good chance that we're going to range. I shouldn't look to hold a trade. I should maybe look to scalp, you know.
And when are you like when you're talking to? I mentioned at the earlier top of the show in the introduction, you're a trader coach. I hope I used the correct title and aspects there. But when you're talking to traders and kind of coaching them through different aspects of their trading, what are some of the common things that they struggle with? And then, of course, my follow up to that after will be, what do you advise them to deal with those struggles?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So it's funny, a lot of people will come to me sort of newer, so they learn the basics with me. Supply, demand, support, resistance, previous day high, low. Even sometimes we do different session highs and lows, Asia session high and low, whatever it might be. I figure out what kind of strategy, what kind of trader they should be. Should they be really looking for scalps? Should they be looking lower time frame, higher time frame? Go over how I trade, see if it reflects off of how they might be interested. A lot of my clients are interested in trading and in my style, hence why they sort of go with me coaching wise. But one of the biggest issues that a lot of traders have, and I'm sure you hear it all the time too, is psychology. You know, psychology will really just make or break a trader. So that's why you have to be so systematic, so okay with losses. Once you're okay with losses and keeping those risks small, promise you guys the journey becomes a lot less stressful and a lot more smooth. If you feel yourself stressing over losses, size down.
Yeah. What are your let's go and take a look at some is this now on demand or is this live action we're watching?
This is live right now.
Okay.
I wanted to see, there we go, crude. So when I'm looking at the charts in the morning, I'll give you a quick little ways of the land if NASDAQ wants to load over here. Oh, don't do this trading view.
Does it messing up for you?
It's every now and then.
Oh, really?
While that tries, there we go. So I have my basic layout, which is going to be our ES on the left-hand side, NASDAQ on the right-hand side. With these two, I look for confluence or divergence. So if we're maybe failing a pivot on ES, where we're failing to break above it, and NASDAQ is breaking above it, then I would say that ES is a lot weaker, right? Sort of get an understanding of the market like that.
Yeah.
I have the VIX as well. VIX is very important to watch if we're day trading ES and NQ. It's important to understand, is the VIX giving us a trend and also giving us a new low of day while ES is making a new high of day, right? So these two should both be making new highs and lows at the same time. If they aren't, then that's also considered a divergence and possibility for a shift in market structure.
Yeah.
Which would be a reversal.
Okay.
As for the NASDAQ, same thing. I mark out my supply and demand zones to get an understanding of where there might be sellers, where there might be buyers. And then I have on my second screen, I usually have this on a second monitor. I pulled it on here for today. I have a screen full of equities. Now I have Meta, Microsoft, Apple, Amazon, and Nvidia. These are major movers, in my opinion, when it comes to something like the NASDAQ or the ES, right? These are top holdings. They have a very strong impact. And a lot of times when we see one trending, like we see here with Apple, Apple started trending around 1020. We could come back to NASDAQ and look and see, okay, well, 1020, NASDAQ is also trending. This helps confirm our direction.
Yeah. Got it. Now, so are there any setups you're currently seeing in the markets, or are we just kind of waiting for action to maybe come back to a certain level? Because I see you've got the purple line there where it looks like it, for the time being, at least for the moment, it's rejecting from there. But I don't know if that was drawn. So yeah, like I'm just trying to understand if there are any trade ideas here we can talk about for the next 15 minutes.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I was definitely looking at, we have on the NASDAQ right here, we have this broken supply zone. So a lot of times when we break a zone intraday, I'm going to use that zone. And now I see we have a fair value gap, or I call them an imbalance. We have a 15-minute imbalance right here near this previous consolidation. So think of it like this. We have our range right here. So we have our range high, straighten that out. We have our range low. We had our manipulation to the downside, and then we had our distribution to the upside. So that's sort of the AMD, accumulation, manipulation, distribution.
Okay.
So because we had that, we have our direction for the day. What I was looking for was a retest of this 15-minute fair value gap, because it did line up with an optimal trade entry, which is using the Fibonacci tool, along with that broken supply zone.
So you're waiting for, what is that? I mean, the discipline is great because that's almost a 150 point drop to get your trade in. If I have that math correct.
Yeah, and you know what? The thing is with this one is it probably might not even hit today, and that's okay. 91 point drop, so it's not that out of the ordinary. I mean, we saw the move we already had this morning was 150 points. So I'm really looking for a pullback before the next leg, right? So maybe we'll hit this liquidity sweep up here. We'll break the supply. A lot of people will look for a breakout, and then we'll pull back, whatever it might be. And I also see, you see how we broke the supply zone and we retested? This was a good basing candle. If I was, watching the markets at this point, I probably would have considered trying along to target the next supply zone, if not the next area of liquidity. And that was just finding that zone with this broken zone. So if this zone wasn't here, then I wouldn't have had an entry. So using supply and demand, whatever strategies we are using as traders, we really have to follow them, because that's how we'll see progress in our journey.
Here's what I'd love to do. If you're down with it, I'd love to kind of take a look at, I think you've already shared charts of your oil. Is that right?
Yeah, oil.
What I'd love to do is what I'd love to do, if you're down with it, is kind of go from the chart being naked to drawing up your supports and whatnot. Now, I know you've probably already got a lot of things there, so if that messes up your flow, then no worries. But I would just love for the viewers to kind of know from start to beginning, or from beginning to, to what they see on screen, here's how your brain works.
Dude, let's do it. Let's do it. We don't even have to do oil. If we want, we could do ES or NQ. I could pull up a different contract so it's a naked chart.
Let's do oil, just because, unfortunate things are happening in the world, which is sad indeed. However, the markets don't care. The markets move. So I want to see if there's a trade opportunity for our viewers to take advantage of if it fits their risk appetite.
Sure thing. So I'll walk us through the breakdown real quick. So obviously we're starting with the daily. We could always start with the weekly too. I do feel like the daily is probably as far out as we have to go. It is important though, we could have a weekly supply zone like this one right here. Right, so an area of resistance. If we look back, it was an area of resistance as well. So that's sort of helping me find an area of interest. So now I can mark that out as supply. I'm not going to mark it out as supply because supply is only visible on lower time frames. That's funny. Background, we're going to make it red. So let's go back again to the daily. Now we had a crazy run up on gold. We had like an 18% move in like 5 bars, so 5 trading days, 7 days in total. Crude just went ballistic. We came up to this major high right here, which we ended up pulling back from, right? So again, when we think of things like liquidity, we have to think of things like, where are people looking for breakouts? Where are people putting their stop orders? Where are major highs? Where are major lows?
Yeah.
So this would have been a nice daily liquidity level. Now to the downside, I would have a daily liquidity level all the way down here, 66.33.
Yeah.
Now what this is starting to do is it's starting to give me an idea of the range, right? So crude, now we have another new high on crude. Well, now I see with marking out these highs, if I didn't see it already, I see we're making a higher high. And maybe from this low, we're making some higher lows too. So again, it's just to give us a general idea of finding the range, finding the trend, you know.
Got it.
And if
Now-
you were to mark out previous day highs and lows along this big move right here, every time you would mark out a previous day high, if you would see that break and try longs, those long setups were higher probability because we had an uptrend.
Okay, got it. And now you're looking at the daily on that.
So now that I got an idea of the daily, we're going to come down to something like the 4 hour. We're going to see if we have anything on the 4 hour. I'm not really seeing anything. So we're going to come to the 3 hour, the 2 hour. And the reason I come to all these zones is because all these time frames, I should say, is because we might have a 3 hour zone here, but not a 2 hour zone. So I'm not really looking to say, oh, I need a time frame zone on every single time frame. I'm sort of saying I need to go through my time frames to find my zones.
Okay, got it.
So like this area of consolidation right here, I want to go through my time frames and see if I could find a red basing candle with some continuation.
Now, red basing candle, are you typically looking at like, hey, I want to see 3 candles, I want to see 4 candles? Like what are you eyeing to have a base?
So for the base, so here's a supply zone example. For the base, I would want a green zone, so a green candle for a supply zone, because what I want is I want there to be trapped buyers. When there are trapped buyers and a strong move lower, those buyers are going to want to get out of their order, hence all of the, the imbalance that's created.
Right.
So we have our base, which would be a small green body and a long upper wick. Usually I would want a longer upper wick and a very short lower wick, because the wicks also tell us, are there trapped buyers in the market? Are there more trapped buyers here? The bigger the wick, the more trapped buyers, and the higher the time frame, also the stronger the zone.
Got it. Okay.
So I'd mark this out as supply.
Yeah.
And it meets my quota, right? So it has a basing, a green basing, and then it has an impulse move candle after, and then it has some continuation. Now, what I would really like is for this 2 hour candle to continue lower too, which has 36 minutes left, right? So here comes the time frame analysis portion. Well, now that we have 36 minutes left in the 3 hour, are we coming back to any zones? Are we coming back to any areas of interest?
Yeah.
Now I'm on the 30. Could always come down to a 30-minute.
Yeah.
And you could apply supply and demand. I see, I think Catan in chat, I saw he was asking something about Tesla, but I'm not sure. What's great with supply and demand is you could apply it towards any market, right? So any market that has good volume, Apple, Microsoft, Tesla, Nvidia. It's much harder to do with something like with much lower volume. Even something like Pfizer, Moderna. Yes, they have real good volume, but they don't really have supply and demand style volume where it's extremely, extremely liquid.
Right.
Crude, gold, great. Yeah.
Now, so, help me understand, when you're coaching your clients and your traders, what does that look like? Is it one-on-one coaching? Is it like a group coaching session? I'm trying to get some insights here.
Yeah, of course. So it's a one-on-one session. Some people do 2 sessions a week. Some people do 1 session a week. I'm currently building my website. Should be up probably within the next couple weeks. And I'm going to start offering group sessions. And this is going to be sort of like accountability weekly group sessions. So it'll be 4 people for maybe an hour, hour and a half. And everybody takes turns going over their weekly review, go over their trades, go over where they feel they have their strengths and where they have their weaknesses. Because what this does, when let's say you were trading on Tuesday, right, and you were about to get in a trade, but on Saturday you have an accountability session. You got to answer to some people, why did I get in this trade? Why did I not get in this trade?
Yeah.
Okay, well, this might keep you out of a bad trade. If you are about to revenge trade and you just took your 2 losses, which let's say 2 losses is your max daily loss. And I like to teach max daily loss, max daily goal, stuff like that. If you hit your max daily loss and you feel the need to revenge trade, but you have in your pocket and you have in your mind, no, if I revenge trade, if I blow this account, I'm going to feel a little dumb, you know, in my next accountability session. I'm not going to have a good answer for this.
Yeah.
And that accountability is what sort of keeps us in line, because at the end of the day, traders or not, we're all human and we make mistakes. That's why we have to build such a solid system, why good risk management is important to keep us in line from a losing streak. All of these things, accountability, everything plays a huge role.
Now, are you using Apex for your trading as well, or have you moved on to just having your own real funded, you know, your own money?
Yeah. I moved on to my own money a while ago, say about a year ago now, but I was using Apex for a while. I love Apex. They're great. They're very reasonably priced. I love how the accounts work. You know, you start with the evaluation, which all these fundeds do, but you start with an evaluation. You have this trail stop. Now, a lot of people get upset over the trail stop. In my opinion, it sort of helps because it forces traders to build good habits, right? So if I'm up 500, you know, I know that my trail stop is 2,000, or 2,500. So because I'm already up 25%, 20%, maybe I should cut 30, lock in $300 here. Maybe I should get out of some contracts. And that too, you know, being able to trade multiple micro NASDAQ contracts instead of trading just one NASDAQ contracts. Because when you could trade 5, 7 contracts, you could, like you said, if you have multiple take profits, you could scale out of some, lock in gains, or you could even start your position light. If you're used to risking 200 per trade, you want to enter a trade with not much confirmation, start the trade light, start the trade risking only 75, 100. That way, if it starts to move for you, it's going to move in your favor. You're going to be able to add.
And the people that you're coaching, is it just on the futures or is it on stocks, options? Like what's your expertise here?
I have one client recently that trades options. She does swing trading, but mainly futures. I personally trade futures. I'm more comfortable with teaching futures.
Okay, gotcha. All right, man. Any other final thoughts for the folks at home before we go? I'd love for them to know where they can find you.
Yeah, I mean, you could check me out. I work with Bullish Bears. I think I have it right over here. Check us out on Instagram, Bullish Bears. Check me out on Instagram as Kevin.futures. And I do live trade every day on Bullish Bears YouTube on Monday and Friday. And I do live trade on Twitch at Futures Kevin Tuesday through Thursday. So if anybody is interested, come on by, hit the subscribe, hit the follow. It's free to follow, free to watch. Take all my trades live, go over all my pre-market plans and such. Would love to have more of you in there.
Awesome. Appreciate your time. Thank you so much, Kevin.
Absolutely, man. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And chat, we appreciate you for tuning in.